Buddy, Brit and Jacob go to the movies is back once again, and we are covering. We're breaking our superhero break to talk about another superhero movie. It's gonna be very fun. I'm Britton,
I am Jacob.
and we're gonna be talking about my and yours. If I remember correctly, most anticipated film of the year. It came out already, and boy oh boy, was it worth the wait.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers, we're talking about the Batman today. Yeah. So what do you think of this, Jacob? I didn't really want to touch on this yet, but fan harassment ensued. So you know what? We're gonna be talking about the Batman now. It's gonna be very fun, and hopefully we'll get those tasty views along the way.
Oh yeah.
Um. Yeah. I gotta say, the wait for this was like my most hyped film of the year. I gotta say.
Oh yeah. Pretty sure it was most people's.
I mean, a lot of people are like, really, Batman? But you know what? I freaking love Batman. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Batman, he's my favorite superhero of all time. He's tied with Spider-Man in that regards.
He's my second favorite. Spider-Man's always number one for me, no matter what. But Batman, the GOAT.
Yes, he is. We got ourselves a doozy. And this film seemed to be much different than the last Batman films we've seen. Because up until then, we got the Nolan films, which are very good, hyper-realistic films. We got the Burton movies, which one was really great, one was pretty good. Then we got the Schumacher movies, which, yikes. And now we have the Reeves verse. And Michael Reeves is a guy I've been pulling for a while, ever since I saw his two Planet of the Apes films. These movies are amazing. Oh, what did you say?
Michael Reeves. You said Michael Reeves.
I said Michael Reeves? Oh, I'm so sorry. Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves! Ah. Damn it. But this is the, ninth Batman movie in live action, and I have to say, just spoiler thoughts for what I think. I think this is the best Batman film since The Dark Knight. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Okay? Because this film fucking rocked. I enjoyed myself thoroughly while watching this movie. What do you think of this movie for your blurb thoughts real quick?
The Batman is the perfect Batman movie in my eyes.
Oh, yes. I do think it is one of the best Batman films made as of right now. Up there with Mask of the Phantasm, The Dark Knight, and Batman 89. This film just freaking nails it for me, anyway. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's 7 with Batman. And yeah, it kind of is. But you know what? I don't give a shit. This movie's amazing.
Yeah, this film gave me everything that I wanted. This film is very bleak and thrillingly ambitious, a grim and gritty take on The Dark Knight. Pattinson, he's my Batman. He is my favorite Batman. And I knew he would be my favorite Batman. Everybody killed it in this. Matt Reeves, outstanding job directing this. Cinematography, the best I've seen in a Batman film. Michael Giacchino's score is phenomenal. Everything about this film, I'm in. If I had, of course I have my, we all have our little nitpicks, but you know what? I don't care. This film is perfect. Seeing it a second time, I love it more.
Yeah. I love this movie. I thought it was great. There were some moments I was kind of nitpicky on until around the end. I'm like, this makes more sense. Like Batman's characterization, which I will get into as this video moves along. And also, I thought it took a minute to end, but again, we'll get to that. But I thought this was great. Also, it's a detective thriller. And, Batman's known as the world's greatest detective. But, in none of these movies do we ever see him detect anything at all. Maybe, Well, Mask the Phantasm. It's animated. Not to discount for it, because Mask the Phantasm is a phenomenal Batman movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this does not take away from any of the other Batman films, but to be honest, most of them, they just, turned into crime films, basically. But this film, this is a straight-up detective story. This is Batman finally as the world's greatest detective.
Oh, yes, and it does not disappoint. Red herrings abound, detecting, bromance between two detectives. Great stuff, great stuff. Also, a well-casted movie. Holy crap. Casting director. Give that person a raise. Oh my god. The casting in this film is on point. Never one I thought, didn't feel it, I mean, there are some people who are bitching about Pattinson, but seriously, guys, watch The Lighthouse. Watch Good Time. This dude's got range. This man has got range.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
I was very pleased with Pattinson as Batman. I'm glad that he didn't just repeat what came before, especially the Bale Batman voice. That was very nice. I always find that all the Batman live-action actors, anyway, they always bring something different to the role of Bruce Wayne, which I always find interesting about these types of films. I mean, there are things I nitpick about the Burton Batman films and the, Nolan Batman films. But, I am mostly satisfied with their Batman portrayals. And in this as well. I'm very satisfied with Batman in this film. Pattinson. Oh my god, he was so good in this.
Oh, yeah, Pattinson. I mean, when they announced it, I was ecstatic. And, I mean, I've defended him ever since they announced it.
Oh, me too. I liked Pattinson before it was cool. Okay, I was rooting for this guy. We know Twilight happened, and hey, look, Michael Keaton was known for, feel-good comedies back in his day. It's not like, people bashed him when he got casted as Batman, and freaking killed it, and look at this. History repeated itself. People were bashing Pattinson, look at that. He freaking murdered it.
I feel like people would learn their lesson, after Michael Keaton or Heath Ledger, when they were both announced, that they got a lot of hate, but they surprised us all. I thought people would learn their lesson.
And Heath Ledger as the Joker.
And give Pattinson the benefit of the doubt, but of course there were the haters. But go ahead.
I said, and Heath Ledger. I remember people complained about that.
Oh yeah, I mentioned Heath Ledger.
Oh, sorry. Great minds think alike, though.
Oh yeah, I mean Heath Ledger.
Go. But I gotta say, the casting in this film, I probably will touch more on this as we get into this movie, but the casting, so good. Seriously, not one where I thought it was out of place. Colin Farrell, I'm like, that's a good choice for a Penguin. I mean, I kind of thought more Andy Serkis would have made a great Penguin, but hey, Colin Farrell's good. He can play creepy, sinister characters, and what do you know? He did. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, she fucking killed it. There's some people who might be dumb enough, and might be some idiots out there who complain she's not white. I don't give a shit. She's fucking Catwoman in my eyes.
Oh, hell yeah. Paul Dano's the Riddler.
Yeah, Paul Dano, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He seems like the type who would play the Riddler.
Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. I mean, the casting is...
Oh my lord, yes. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, which that was one I was kind of like, but I'll see. I like John Turturro, but then I thought of Miller's Crossing. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I think he could pull it off, and he did. This film is a very well directed, well helmed, well shot. Oh my god, the shots in this movie, whew.
Yeah, this is the best cinematography I've seen in a Batman film ever.
Oh my god. Yeah, up there with The Dark Knight Rises and maybe Batman 89. Some of the most evocative cinematography I've ever seen in a Batman movie.
And also, Gotham actually feels like Gotham.
Oh, yes, exactly. It captures the Batman Begins just nastiness of Gotham City while also kind of having that gothic feel of the animated series and the Burton movies as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, like Batman Begins had a Blade Runner type of feel to it in regards to the tone and direction. While yeah, the Burton Batman films had a very gothy feel to it, and of course, the Batman had a very gothy and grindy feel to it. It feels like watching a David Fincher movie, but with Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like I just need to take a shower after watching it.
Yeah, exactly. I told my dad, we went to go eat after we saw it, and I'm like, yeah, I want to take a shower after watching this movie, and he's like, why? And it's like, it wasn't like, I'm like, it just feels dirty, you know? It's like super nasty. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah. Man. Yeah, I mean, just this is a great movie all around. Great cast as well. Andy Serkis, I'll admit, I didn't see him as Alfred at first. I thought, I think Penguin would be a better fit because he's a very, Andy Serkis is a very theatrical actor, and the Penguin is a very theatrical character. But hey, he was actually really good as Alfred. I thought, hey, he's a good actor anyways, and he's probably gonna do a good job. And what do you know? He did.
Oh yeah, I didn't complain about the casting, but with Andy Serkis as Alfred, I was like, okay, I'll see what he does. I'm intrigued to see what he does with Alfred. I agree with you. I was like, I saw him more as like the Penguin type of villain because he is a very theatrical actor, and the Penguin is a very theatrical villain, as you said. But you know what? He did good. Really damn good as Alfred. Everybody did good.
Oh my god, everyone was amazing in this. Like, ugh. Not a bad actor in this movie, I have to say.
Oh no, I mean Zoe Kravitz, amazing as Catwoman. Colin Farrell, unrecognizably amazing. Paul Dano, phenomenal. Jeffrey Wright, amazing. Everybody's amazing in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, people make fun of the grittiness of the Batman movies, like, how much grittier do you need to get? And, like, there's this meme, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's, like, all of the Batman movies, and, like, after this one, it's just completely black screen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's funny. I thought it was, I think it was funny, but, it's like, okay, But this is a well-made movie, and like Jacob said, it's almost like, what if David Fincher made a Batman movie? Like, in his prime in the 90s, in early 2000s. What would that look like? Well, my friends, it would probably look like this.
Yep, just replace Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman with Batman, with Pattinson and Jeffrey Wright, basically.
Oh, man.
And he got the Batman.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say it's exactly like Seven. There are certainly elements like there's elements of the Nolan movies in here. There's also Chinatown, which is one of my favorite neo-noir films. Also the French Connection, which I own over here, particularly with the car chase, very reminiscent of the French Connection, which apparently Matt Reeves did cite as an influence. Yes. But yes, I thought this was a fantastic movie all around. It is a blistering artistic statement, and you know what? I can't wait to see more out of this world. I do have some issues with it, but they're pretty minuscule. This is like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Almost quite there. Almost there. But I will say, this is lurched up to my second favorite Batman movie ever.
When it comes to like my favorite Batman movie, I'm not quite sure yet, but The Dark Knight, for me personally, The Dark Knight better get a run for your money because Batman, maybe the third viewing might take its spot, but Dark Knight is still number one for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really strong beginning to a trilogy. And again, everyone is great in this. And again, one of the things I enjoy about the Batman movies is that they never really repeat themselves. They always try something different, and you kind of have to when it comes to things like this.
Oh yeah, I mean every Batman actor, like, they brought their own unique take on it. I mean Michael Keaton. I mean, he wasn't the obvious choice then, but he surprised all of us. trigger. Yeah, all that. But I thought he was really good. I mean, and he was a great Bruce Wayne. But and Val Kilmer, I mean, like, I don't love Batman Forever, but I think he is the most underrated Batman. And George Clooney, Bat Nipples.
Hey, Freeze. I'm Batman. In the immortal words.
Oh, Kevin Conroy, iconic, and
he's still my favorite
Pattinson.
Batman actor.
Oh yeah, Pattinson's my number one. Kevin Conroy. Oh yeah, fucking icon. But and Pattinson, I knew he'd be great, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I was defending this guy from like the second they announced him as Batman. I'm like, guys, give it a chance. I know what you're thinking. But I promise you, you will not be let down. Okay? Everyone's like, haha, gay, sparkly vampire guy. Which there was another funny joke where someone said, it took him this long to become a bat. Which I thought was actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
Have you seen that meme, the movie board that said, geez, took him this long to become a bat?
Oh yeah. Because he never became a bat in the Twilight films, being a vampire. But hey, he's finally Batman.
Yes. I will say, while Twilight is a lame film, the Batman, it slaps. That's all I can say about it for my blurb thoughts. This is a great movie all around. I really enjoyed it. It was suspenseful. The mystery was intriguing. Paul Dano fucking murdered it, as he managed to keep it grounded and creepy while also being very theatrical. This is just a great movie all around. What do you think, Jacob? What's the end of your blurb thoughts?
Oh yeah, the Batman, it did not disappoint. I mean, what a great start to 2022. The first film I've seen in this year, and man, I am extremely satisfied with this film. Matt Reeves did a phenomenal job with it. Matt Reeves has not made a bad film yet. I mean, the Planet of the Apes trilogy is one of my favorite movie trilogies ever, and Cloverfield was great. And the Batman, another great film in his list of directed films. His film is phenomenal.
A very faithful adaptation of the Batman character. And I remember thinking this when I left. I'm like, finally, it's a Batman film that finally feels like a Batman movie. At least live action.
Oh, absolutely. And because as much as I love the Nolan trilogies, they were like super ultra realistic. But the Batman, it's definitely more grounded, but it feels like I'm stepping into the world of Batman. Like the feel of Gotham, just everything about it. It's just amazing.
Oh yes. I mean, it's just a freaking fantastic movie all around. And it didn't. I'll put it this way: it didn't disappoint. To quote the immortal Heath Ledger, "You didn't disappoint."
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yes, this film. If you want to dive into this, didn't you see it yesterday again? Because I didn't get the chance to see it again.
Oh yeah, last night.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I loved it even more. Phenomenal movie.
Yep. Alright, so let's get into this film. We begin with somebody. One of the fun little visual motifs in this film is somebody watching somebody through, like, binoculars or a camera or something.
Oh, yes.
And that's how the movie starts. And at first you think, oh, is this Bruce Wayne? But you kind of realize it's probably not, because you hear this, like, breathing underneath, and it sounds really weird. It just sounds really strange to me. To me it did. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I really like about Matt Reeves, even with his Planet of the Apes films, is that he loves to sit on a shot. He loves to make you absorb the atmosphere with his shots.
Oh yeah, and I love that about Matt Reeves. It adds up to the suspension and certain scenes even more when he just like lays on, just keeps one when there's just like one long shot to a scene.
Indeed. And you end up realizing later that it's the Riddler watching his target through his binoculars. And, yeah. It's very you're uncomfortable, I think is the best way to describe it. You're uncomfortable by the scene of him watching through, and you just hear his breathing. You just get this sense of unease when you're watching it.
Yeah, you feel uncomfortable, like you have to look back behind you.
Yeah, and this film almost has a horror movie vibe to it, which is funny I mention that because this film starts on Halloween, which I'm telling you is a nod to The Long Halloween, which is one of my personal favorite Batman comics.
Oh, absolutely. This film is it's like a mixture of like The Long Halloween and Batman Year One.
Oh, most definitely. And like for cinematic, you get like a mixture of Seven, Taxi Driver again, even Blade Runner, particularly just how nasty everything looks.
Yeah.
So we end up. So after the binocular scene and hearing Ave Maria, which becomes a musical motif, another side tangent. The music in this film is amazing. I gotta say, it's up there with Hans Zimmer's stuff from the Dark Knight trilogy and Danny Elfman's '89 score. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, Danny Elfman's score is still my favorite Batman score. Whenever I think of the Batman score, like Danny Elfman's is top there for me. Hans Zimmer's score is also iconic, but Michael Giacchino, he outdid himself with this score. This score is phenomenal. It has the perfect mixture of very gloomy, very sad, but it's also very epic and very manly.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, Michael Giacchino, he outdid himself with this score.
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, God. Okay, so we end up seeing this guy called Don Mitchell Jr., and we get some exposition through the TV, which is basically this guy, Don Mitchell Jr., is running against this lady called Bella Real for the mayor's office. And we also get some exposition about Bruce Wayne's parents before they died, realizing that this can't be Bruce Wayne, because the film, I think this was intentional. The film almost tricks you into thinking that this is Bruce Wayne at first that we're watching.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was like a flashback when you see like this little kid and the mom and dad. I was like, is this a flashback of Bruce Wayne and his parents?
And this kid has like a little Zorro / swashbuckler outfit on. He like runs over and just like slices his dad. I'm like, oh shit! And he like gets up. I'm like, oh okay, he was playing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. The thing I love about this movie, it's unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. And it like that dude just falls down. You're like, what the fuck? Yo, this kid just murdered his dad. And then the dad gets up here like, oh, okay, that had me kind of shook for a moment.
Yeah, Matt Reeves, Matt Reeves really loves to trick the audience in this movie.
Oh, yeah. It tricked me a few times because I'm a fucking dummy, I guess. Oh, man. So Don Mitchell Jr. is watching the TV, as politicians do. When you're running against somebody, you watch your performance, I guess. He watched it, and I think, if I remember, he's calling some guy. He's like, yeah, this thing's going on, and while he's walking, or I think he is calling someone, right?
Yeah, he's calling somebody.
He's calling somebody, he's talking to him, and there just is this man standing behind him. I remember when I saw him, I'm like, oh shit.
Jump scare.
What?
Jump scare.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't even like make he doesn't even do like the gimmicky jump scare thing. You just see him, you're like, oh shit. Like,
no, I saw a couple of people like kind of jump out of their seat.
And you just kind of see him watching him, and you're just like, oh fuck, like this. Oh jeez. And this dude's like walking around, and he's just like calling this dude, and he's like telling him stuff, and then like right as he puts the phone down, he ends up seeing this green gentleman, and this dude just brutally beats this man to death.
Oh boy.
Like, yeah. Just, like, I gotta say, the violence in this movie, damn, it looks like it hurts.
I mean, for a PG-13 movie, I'm impressed with the violence in it.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore in this movie.
I love it.
So, he viciously beats Don Mitchell Jr. to death, and just fucking, he ends up dropping the little thing, which is like this carpet. I have it in my house right now, and it made me think, Riddler. You know, when I saw it in my house. And he ends up getting some tape out, and the infamous using the tape to open it, and he gives like this really odd, this kind of, you know, the sound that duct tape makes when you take it out. You just get this like weird feeling, and then that is how the film begins.
It's a perfect introduction to our main villain.
Yeah, I thought it was really strong. I was like, this is really... I was like, hello there. Like, I didn't, like, yelp in the theater or anything. But it's like...
yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's the reason why I love, like, his introduction in his film. It's so unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It is nuts. And I will say, what do you think of this opening sequence?
Oh, I am immediately hooked.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Hooked. We get our introduction of the Riddler. Once again, like the introduction, I agree with you. It's very strong, and the reason why, once again, as I said, it's so unexpected. It's not like this big reveal, like, oh, it's the Riddler. It's just like, oh, hi there, Riddler.
Yeah, you're kind of uneasy at first. You're like, oh god, what is this? And then you're like sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, this guy... It takes a minute, but you know, like that, I know that might sound bad, but it lets the scenery, it lets you absorb the scenery.
Absolutely. I mean, this entire film, like, Matt Reeves just wants you to absorb the scenery in every shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he, again, just viciously beats this man to death. And it is brutal. And you're like, god damn, bro. That is brutal. Now, I mean, this film, I'm like, alright, movie. Alright, I'm kind of interested. Let's see where this goes. I'm curious, you know. I actually really like what they did with the Riddler in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, they definitely went for a more Zodiac-type approach with the Riddler. I mean, I know there are a few people that complain about it, but for me, I was excited. Like, the Riddler, in my opinion, has always been a Zodiac type of killer, but he was just more articulate with it. But in this film, this definitely brings the Riddler down to earth. And can be the first to say that I love his design in this.
Oh, yeah, his design, I mean, you can see it. It's right here. Yeah, it's basically the Zodiac killer. Zodiac, like, writes to Matt Reeves. He's like, fuck you. I'm suing. And then, and then he gets, like, arrested. You're like, aha, caught you. He's like, oh. It's
like, visually, he looks terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you saw that guy in your house, you would, like, scream and, like, throw some shit at him and, like, try to run out the house. I know I would.
Exactly.
Sometimes I tend to freeze, so I guess it depends on what I'm doing that day. But yeah, I'm like, okay, movie, all right, movie. I see what you got here. Like let's see what you got. Like hit me with what you got. Like hit it with me. Like I don't know. Hit him with me. But yeah, yeah. But then we get probably my favorite scene in this whole movie. Let me tell you. All right, I gotta say, Batman '89, great introduction to Batman and the Joker. Dark Knight, best introduction to the villain. This film has the best introduction I have ever seen for Batman. Like, hands down. And don't get me wrong, it's great in Batman '89. Like, I really like it in Batman '89. But this one has just topped it. Like, Jacob, I gotta hype myself real quick. Can you take over here? This is like my favorite part of the movie.
Oh boy. Alright, so we see Gotham, and we get a narration from Bruce Wayne, and then we visually get a look of Gotham, which looks grungy and dirty and nasty looking. I fucking love it. We also see some crime happening, and then when the bat symbol hits, which is another thing I love about this movie, they're treating Batman as a symbol of fear. Once the bat light hits the sky, the thugs are just immediately terrified, because Batman is the symbol of fear to start off with. And the introduction to the Caped Crusader. First, we hear some stomping. We hear some stomping noise. And then we see, coming out of the shadows, is Robert Pattinson as the Batman himself. It's fucking awesome.
Oh my god, this scene is just... Yes. It's like Matt Reeves is like, hey, what's the most awesome thing we could do to introduce Batman in this movie? And then he brainstormed for a little bit, and he thought, all right, this works out. And oh my god, it's so good. Like, seriously, he narrates about how he feels like he's not doing anything with the city, but he still has to, but he talks about, there's some things I kind of was like, huh? And he talked about he called drop heads, which apparently I ended up learning was like a drug that they take in the city. It's like eye drops, apparently. Did you catch that?
No, I did not, actually.
You didn't? Okay.
Not in the first watch, but the second watch I did.
In the first one, I was kind of like, huh? What the hell's a drop head? And I learned as I kind of researched the movie. But yeah, we see Batman, and we see Batman in some new garbs. We see him in his, I guess you can just call it his incognito civilian look. Incognito homeless look. He's walking around with his black face paint, and he's looking around, and he's talking about his... I don't remember exactly what he says, but there's some freaking great lines. And it just captures perfectly what Batman's doing, and it's putting fear into the hearts of his enemies. My favorite line is when they put that call into the sky. It's not just a call, it's a warning. Oh, you're like, oh man.
Oh yeah, that line gave me chills.
Oh my god, and you just see this dude with this drop melon head. You're just like, oh my god, this guy looks... It's a creepy mask. And he looks up at the sky and he looks at the shadows, and it's perfect. You're like, yes, this is Batman.
Symbol of fear.
This is who Batman is to me. It is the symbol of fear. Anyway. So Batman... So we end up seeing these thugs dressed up in clown makeup? They're not Joker related, I promise that. They look like... There's this comic I read called Deadly Class, and there's this chick who Marcus is with for the first couple of arcs, and she's part of the Mexican cartel, and she has this face paint on. It looks like that. That's what it looks like. It looks like I'm guessing Mexican gang. I don't know, but it's something like that. I wish Tim were on here. He would better explain it than I would. But these guys are kind of your typical Devil's Night thugs, which, you know, another influence I kind of picked up on was The Crow. I don't know how many people... Well, The Crow is actually a pretty famous film, but The Crow is a very, very good movie from the 90s with Brandon Lee. Very much like this film. Very dark, very grungy, almost unpleasant at times, but it is a fun watch if you ever do give it the chance.
You know what? Funny you mentioned. It's funny you actually mentioned The Crow. Like when I saw the trailers, the other film I thought of, like in regards to like the look of Gotham and how gothy it is The Crow.
Yeah, exactly.
Very grungy, very gothic looking.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like a horror movie at some points, especially when Batman just comes out of the shadows like a boss, and he's just like walking, and this like the leader. Oh yeah, these like thugs end up chasing this poor Asian guy to part of the subway, and they start like trying to beat his ass, and he's trying to get this kid who apparently is Tim Drake on that awful Titan show. Yeah, exactly.
We don't speak of that here.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Batman just fucking comes out like a boss. Just, and that music. Oh my god, that music.
My audience cheered.
Yes, I almost cheered right there, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. Won't do it. Won't let the fanboy id rule me today. But I almost did, though. I almost did.
It's fucking perfect. His introduction.
Oh my lord. Like, if The Dark Knight is the perfect villain introduction I've ever seen for, like, a villain in a Batman movie, this is the best introduction of Batman I have ever seen in any of the Batman movies, aside from maybe Batman 89.
Hell yeah.
Because in Batman Begins, it's kind of, like, weird. It's, like, this kind of shaky cam and people just looking scared, and then he just, like, shows up. And he, like, yells into guy's face that he's Batman and, like, headbutts him, like, But this one, though, like, Pattinson, again, he plays it very differently. I love how he has that kind of, like, that baritone growl, but it's very controlled. It's not like he's trying too hard. I always felt that Bale tried too hard. Like, in Batman Begins, it's fine, but especially in, like, The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, it just became laughable after a while.
Especially Dark Knight Rises.
Oh my god.
But like Pattinson, like he's giving me Keaton vibes. Like he's intimidating without even trying.
Oh my god, yes. It's almost like he watched the Keaton movies. Like, I think this is better. I think I'll do it like this. And Matt Reeves is like, great, just do that. That's fine. And apparently Pattinson is a big Batman fan. And he really lobbied for this role. And you can just tell the passion he has for this character and everything he does with this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched an interview with him, and he was talking about, like, he's a big Batman fan, and he really wanted to play this role. And when he said that just sealed the deal for me. I was like, you're going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, when someone's passionate about something, I think it works out better.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not to say none of the other Batman actors were passionate about it. And I know Christian Bale takes acting very seriously. And please do not track down my house and beat my ass for criticizing your Batman or yelling about how he ruined your focus. But I'm just saying, Pattinson, he fucking nailed it in this movie. And you can just tell the passion he has for this role. I know there's some people who complain that he's like an emo. But, I kind of like that idea. It's like, what if this traumatized, orphan billionaire, what the hell is he going to do? Like, and it kind of goes back to what I was going to say earlier. I like how all the Batman movies capture a different aspect of Batman's character.
Yeah, I mean, this is a different take on the Batman. I mean, he's not Keaton, he's not Bale, he's not Kevin Conroy. This is a different take on it. You know what? Like, I love, like, they took a more gothic approach with this Batman, I would say.
Yeah, and it's like, Keaton really nailed the duality of Batman and Bruce Wayne, almost to the point where it almost feels like they're two different people.
Oh, yeah.
Bale, I think, really nails the compassion of Batman, and his desire to help people. I think that's really what he nailed with the Batman character. And with Pattinson, he freaking nails the obsessive, vengeance-driven vigilante who's kind of battling within himself. I will admit, when I was watching this movie, I'm kind of like, what's Batman's arc in this movie? Like, at first, I was just thinking that. I'm like, I haven't really shown it yet. And then I realized as the movie goes on, and from the first moment he comes on and he says, I'm vengeance, and then you go through the movie, and you end up realizing, okay, I get what's going on here.
Another thing I love about this film is that, like, no one refers to him as Batman.
Yeah, no, they don't. They always call him Vengeance.
I love that. I love that about this.
Yeah, and...
He's just referred to as Vengeance.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm a dummy and I didn't really notice that his whole arc is that he's going to change from vengeance-driven, angry vigilante to more hopeful symbol of justice.
Mm-hmm.
Until, like, the middle of the movie, I'm like, that makes sense. Alright, I'm a dumbass. I don't know, I guess I just didn't, like, I don't know. It didn't occur to me at first that was his arc of the movie, but I think it's beautifully done in this.
Oh yeah, I love it. His arc is phenomenal.
It kind of reminds me of the video game Batman Arkham Origins, where he's more angry and like, yeah, and he's like beating the fuck out of criminals, and that's kind of like his thing. He's not quite the controlled veteran vigilante yet. He's more like he's still young. He's still figuring it out as it goes along.
Yeah, he's been Batman for 2 years. And another thing, this film is very reminiscent, especially with the fighting, which we'll get into soon, very reminiscent to the Arkham games.
Oh yeah, very much so. Definitely with there are certainly Arkham Origins vibes, and even I got some vibes from the Telltale Batman games, which, by the way, super underrated. I mean, God, that's such a great game. I mean, me and Carlton talk about it all the time. But we should probably gotten Carlton on here. But, it's fine.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Would have been just ranting about how great the movie was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Yeah, almost like how this Batman's almost like a folktale people tell to each other. Like, the boogeyman. And it kind of inspired something I'm doing right now, but I won't talk about it just yet. But I kind of like that they kind of lean in on the mythic aspect of Batman. That they don't quite know that it's like a guy walking around doing... It's almost like he's some sort of angry, vengeful spirit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Anyways, so the guys are like, oh, who's this clown? And the dude, unfortunately, walks up, is like, who the hell you're supposed to be? And then he, like, runs up to whack him with, like, a crowbar, and he just pulverizes this guy. Like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, the fighting in this is fucking brutal.
Oh my god. It reminded me of The Raid, actually, where it's very slick, but it's also just brutal when you watch it.
Oh, yeah. And once again, Matt Reeves is he's just settling into the one shot.
Yep. He's going for it, And then he says his line, I'm vengeance. And then he goes out and just starts fucking wailing on all these dudes. Except for the little, like, the Titans guy. He had the inkling his heart wasn't really in it, and he lets him go.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll let you go, even though Titans fucking sucked ass. I'm gonna let you go because you're a good kid.
He's all like, Titans sucked ass, but that's no reason to pulverize you.
Man, they should have added that in there.
Would have been like, huh? I think that would have taken away from the... movie.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been pretty hilarious, though. He's like, Titan sucks ass, but there's no reason to beat your ass. Get out of here. He like runs away, terrified. And even the Asian guy, he like thanks him, but he's also kind of scared.
Yeah, he's like, please don't hurt me. Thanks.
He's like, please don't hurt me, and he's like, I'm not, and he just like disappears. Again, it's almost like he's a ghost.
Oh yeah, just like, again, it's a symbol of fear.
Yeah, like he's not even like a dude. He's just like some random, it's like some fucking random guy. I don't know. But then he gets called to a very gnarly crime scene of Don Mitchell Jr. And this scene is right out of the trailer. It's Batman. It's a POV shot of Batman and Gordon walking through a group of cops who are all looking at Batman with a... I like the facial acting from all the extras. Some are kind of suspicious of him. There's some who are kind of in awe of him. And there's even some who are kind of afraid of him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the other thing I love about this film is that, like... Batman has been, he's only been Batman for 2 years, so a lot of people, especially like the police force, there are a few of them that are going to be like, we can't trust him, he's a vigilante. But then we'll get people like Gordon who are like, no, we can trust him. Like, he's a detective, basically. Like, he can help us on this case. And there are some that are just like, maybe he can help, but I mean, he's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's funny. I was half expecting one of those scenes where Gordon just gets irritated at Batman. He's like, "Hey, I've been vouching for you. Now, quit being a whiny asshole." And he's like, "Fine," something like that. I don't think that really would have worked, but it would have been. I think that would have been funny.
Oh yeah, that would have been funny.
James Gordon is like, we end up meeting James Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, and I gotta say, I really like Jeffrey Wright. I've never disliked him in anything. I've never disliked him in anything I've seen him in.
Oh yeah, I think he did a great job as Jim Gordon. I mean, when it comes to my favorite Jim Gordon, I would say Gary Oldman.
Oh yeah, he's Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman. I mean, he's great as Jim Gordon.
Jeffrey Wright did a great job.
Oh man, he was fantastic. Probably like close second to like Gary Oldman. I mean, no one's gonna beat Gary Oldman in my mind. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. Not gonna beat Gary Oldman, but yeah, he did a really damn good job. And I really love him and Batman's, kind of friendship, you could call it.
Yeah, they're dynamic.
Yes, they're dynamic. It's almost like they're the dynamic duo. Because, Robin isn't in the picture yet. What? Yeah, I gotta ask this real quick. What do you think Robin... What would you think of a Robin in this type of world?
In this type of world, I would love I would love if they started with Dick Grayson, because Dick Grayson's my favorite Robin. But
Mine too.
I think Matt Reeves. I think he might take an approach with. I think he might try to do Jason Todd. Maybe.
You know what? That actually might make more sense, because, this Gotham, we've mentioned this already, but this Gotham, it is mean. Like, this is not a fun place to hang out at. Like, it's almost like Batman Begins, except they basically just kind of run with it. Because in Batman Begins, like, Gotham's not that great, but it's just like a bunch of homeless people running around. But this, one of the things I really like, the more subtext of this film, is that the city is going just as insane. Gotham almost becomes a character in and of itself, and it influences. It's almost like it influences all of the people that live in it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I got those vibes from this movie, especially when we get to the Riddler Batman stuff later in the movie.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like this city almost drives people to madness.
Mm-hmm. To their limits.
It causes people to become so desperate that they just go into... They start doing crazy shit like killing people and leaving riddles for people dressed up as bats. Like...
Yeah.
That's how crazy... This is how crazy Batman's made Gotham,
Yeah.
Stealing from another movie. I can't wait for that Dark Knight review, because I'm gonna fucking quote the shit out of that movie.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh, jeez. So Gordon leads Batman into the room, and they look around, and one of Batman's things is that this dude literally lives up to the world's greatest detective part. Now, yeah, he does get things wrong in this movie, and that's not, I mean, that tends to happen, you gotta keep things spicy in a mystery movie. It'd be kind of lame if they got everything right all the time.
Yeah.
But I really like how Batman picks up on the things that the cops just didn't notice.
Yes, that's what Batman is. They got the detective aspect down perfectly.
Yeah, and like they pick it up, the dude's thumb is gone, and you're like, oh god. And he has a tape all over his face that just says "No more lies" on it. It's also spray painted on the wall. I think it just says "lies" on the wall.
Yeah. No more lies.
Which kind of brings to the core mystery of the movie, which makes it interesting. It's how does the Riddler know all of this? How does the Riddler know all of this? And what is his part in all of it?
Yeah, what's his motivation to all of this?
And that's kind of one of the big mysteries of the movie. And it is explained later why he took it on. But, anyway. And he ends up giving him, and Gordon ends up showing him the Batman. He gives him the letter from the Riddler, and he's like, does this mean anything to you? And Batman's like, I don't freaking know. Or I don't even think he says anything. He's just like, he takes it.
Nothing.
Yeah, he just says nothing, takes it, looks at it, and then this fucking guy walks in, Peter Savage, played by Peter Sarsgaard, I think his name is.
Oh, yeah.
And he's all like, what the hell is this guy doing in here? He's like, hey, look, he can help us. He's like, no, I don't want him snooping around in here, okay? So get out of here. He also drops the F word. He also drops fuck into a scene, which I'm sure Carlton was just fucking ejaculating all over himself when that came out.
Happy fucking Halloween.
It's funny. That's the first thing I thought of when I heard that line. I'm like, I bet Carlton's gonna love that.
Oh, that gave me chills. I was like, yes, finally. They gave us an F-bomb for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, I don't really care, offensive, bad language. I say bad language all the time. It doesn't offend me, but, I don't know. There's people who like to just drop the F-bomb in superhero movies just to be edgy. Titans! Zack Snyder! Anyway, excuse me. Had me a fit there.
Yeah, I don't like when movies, they drop the F-bomb like 20 freaking times. This one is just one time.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced, which is nice.
No.
Batman ends up reading it and, shows the Riddler's love of riddles, puns, wordplay, all that fun stuff. And he ends up saying, what happens to a liar when he's dead?
Oh, yeah.
And, sadly, some, nerds on the internet who, know more about this stuff than I do, figured out what it means. It's he lies still, which I ended up telling my dad. And, oh, what do you know? That's the exact answer they come up with. Oh, Jesus. What do you think of this scene of them searching around the place and getting the letter and all that?
Oh yes, we see. This is the first. This is where we see how Matt Reeves is going to handle the detective aspect of this movie, and I love it. I love the fact that Batman, he doesn't say anything. He just investigates the scene.
Yeah, he's just scanning the room as you'd expect a detective to do.
Oh yes, and I love it. It's like, ooh, I'm like, feels like I'm watching Seven.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, those Seven vibes. I I think the most obvious homage to 7 is that it's always fucking raining. It's always raining in Gotham.
Oh, yeah. Always raining.
It's just like... I bet Bruce is just like, God, can we just have a sunny day out here? Or maybe he's just like, this is appropriate. I like this.
Even on a quote-unquote sunny day, it's just very cloudy.
Yeah. Bruce is like, I like this. And then, anyway, Savage makes him leave, but he takes the letter with him, and he ends up tracing back to his house, and then we get a montage of him riding around on a motorcycle, which I guess is his day Batmobile.
Oh, yeah.
And Something in the Way plays, and oh man, great stuff.
Oh, yeah. Nirvana, Something in the Way. Yeah. May I say that I think that song is so suitable for this film?
Yeah, it is, surprisingly. I always... if it were any other film, I would have think, it's kind of a little too dramatic for Batman. I mean, he's dark, but he's not like he's going to be under a bridge playing a guitar,
Yeah.
Fucking... he's not Kurt Cobain, but, in this movie, I'm like, you know what? It works for some reason. I don't know why, but it does.
And I love that they added that song into the movie, because usually you'll hear a certain song in a trailer, but then they never incorporate it into the movie. But with this film, they put it into this. In Thor Ragnarok, they played a Led Zeppelin, and they had it in the trailer and also in the movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. So Bruce comes back, and again, Bruce takes out these like eyepiece. That's really cool, by the way. He takes out like these eyepieces, which are like cameras. And one that has to be so super uncomfortable, but also at the same time, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, like when he takes off the contact lenses where they record everything that he sees. I was like, that is so genius, and that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I'm like, yep, that's fitting for some reason.
It is very fitting.
I also think it's hilarious that he's listening to like Something in the Way in his like man cave.
I know, it's not just like a song in the background. He's actually listening to it.
He's like, this is my brooding room.
Yep.
He's like yelling at Alfred, like, this is my brooding room. Get out.
And
Andy Serkis is just like, oh god, like, can you at least act like a normal person for like 5 minutes, please?
To go back really quick, the contact lenses he wears, they look uncomfortable. Like, you can see his eyes are red.
Yeah, but I also think that's because he doesn't sleep, like, as well, because it's like...
Well, still, yeah.
Yeah, that as well. I'm like, God, like, again, like, the Gotham in this movie, and, like, it's nasty. It is a nasty place. It's, again, it reminds me of Batman Begins, except they just fucking lay it on. It's like, Gotham, horrendous place to hang out at.
Yeah, can we go to Metropolis, please?
Metropolis? Oh, I thought you were being serious.
I mean, fucking Gotham. I want to live in there.
They call it a shithole. Donald Trump would call it a shithole. Oh.
That's Gotham for you.
It was like, damn, can we go to Metropolis? Jesus Christ. But, yeah, Batman's just, like, Bruce gets back, and he's, like, looking at his computer, and Alfred ends up coming in, played by Andy Serkis. Again, I envisioned him more as, like, the Penguin, but hey, not complaining. I mean, you know, Danny DeVito was kind of born to play the Penguin, but hey, look, it's fine. And, you know, he actually does a pretty good job as Alfred. And I also like in this movie how the relationship isn't quite so hunky-dory.
Yeah. Yeah, I like their strange relationship in this film.
Yeah, like, basically, Alfred just gets on to Bruce. He's like, can you at least act like a normal person for, like, 5 minutes, please? And he's all like, but I'm doing something, man. And he's all like, look, some people are coming over, okay? Can you just, like, get your act together and just come out here and talk with them? He's like, they're coming today? He's like, yeah. He's like, can we do it somewhere else? He's like, yeah, they've been calling you, man. And then he tells him it won't be long until you have nothing left. Like, this is your parents' legacy. And then he basically explains, and he says, and he retorts with, well, this is what I'm doing. This is my parents' legacy. You're like, whew.
The other thing I love about this film is that this version of Batman, like, he's addicted to being Batman. Like,
yeah.
We barely see him as Bruce Wayne in this, and I love that.
Yeah, there's people who complained about, there's people who complain that Pattinson wasn't the great Bruce Wayne. But, here's the thing, like, this dude is, like, it's almost like the two personas have become blurred as of this point.
Yeah, another thing, he's so used to, like, just being Batman for more so than being Bruce Wayne that he feels like this is his only identity. And once again, like, this is not an origin story, but yeah, you know what, an origin story of him, like, becoming like the Batman that Gotham needs him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing, of course he's going to be less of that billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, and because he's addicted to being Batman, because, like, he doesn't have time to be that billionaire playboy. In the sequels, I think they will play more into the billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne.
Maybe. I don't know. I know I kind of like this version of Batman. It feels kind of, though it would kind of narrow the suspects on who Batman would be. It's like, I wonder, the Bruce Wayne guy, he's always holed up in his house, and he had his parents die, so there's a motive, and he has the resources, so, Now you could make the argument, of course, I think it's that they wouldn't be able to prove it.
Oh, another thing that they finally addressed in a Batman film, which they, in the previous ones, have never addressed, not even in Nolan's ultra-realistic trilogy. Batman straight up wears black eye makeup around his eyes underneath his mask.
Yep. Which, that's something I never even thought about. I'm like, oh, God damn, it's such a great design to it. Why didn't I... Why have I never thought of this before?
Oh! Like, do you remember in Batman Returns, like, when Batman takes off his mask, like, the eye makeup just completely disappears?
Yeah, they like, showed it in a video I saw.
Oh, yeah, but in this, it helps. It helps a lot with the realism in this.
Yeah, it makes you feel more immersed, Yeah. I also like when he gets up later and he's, like, in his casual clothes. He's, like, wearing sunglasses, and he's just, like, hanging out in his, like, pajamas. Mm-hmm. Again, I kind of like this version of Batman as kind of an angsty teenager.
Oh, yeah, and a nocturnal animal, because, like, when, like, he's in daytime, like, you can see, like, he had to put on sunglasses.
Yeah, he has like
are nocturnal animals.
Yeah, he has like black, like, it looks like he hasn't slept in a long time. He looks disheveled. It's like, I like it. There's some people who don't, and hey, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, he also looks through and asks Alfred to help him out, even though they just had a little spat. He asks Alfred to help him out with this little case he's taken on.
Yes, he did.
And he's all like, it's interesting. Looks like you've become quite a celebrity, he says. He's like, yeah, I guess so.
Damn right I am.
And he looks at the... He looks at the, he looks at the riddle, and he's like, so what is a liar does when he stands still? What does a liar does when he's dead?
Yes.
And he says, Batman answers, he lies still. Or is it Alfred who figures that out? I think it's Batman. If I recall correctly, it's Batman.
Yeah, Alfred. I think Alfred figured it out. No. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks through. One of the things I thought was kind of weird, he just kind of randomly decides to kill the... It's very sudden. He just kills the police commissioner. I forget exactly where that's at, but that happens. I'm like, okay, that happened.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a rat trap, something right out of the Saw movies. You're just like, oh my god, dude's a fucking maniac.
Like, I'm already getting a lot of vibes from a bunch of different other movies from this film, but I'm getting Saw vibes from that videotape that we saw. Yeah, they're watching a videotape of the Riddler capturing the police commissioner and killing him.
Oh yes, they like pull it up and it's like, oh, damn. And then Gordon just is like, son of a bitch, he's dead. He's not happy about it. And he also leaves another message for Batman. He's like, oh, come find it. And Batman ends up going back to Gordon, and they're looking around, and it turns out that Riddler we end up figuring out what Riddler did with the thumb that he chopped off the dude's hand. He made it into a thumb drive. Get it, Jacob? You get it? It's like it's like he puts the key to drive the car and he puts a thumb on there. Yeah, thumb drive.
Clever. Like that's like if you're gonna have moments of levity, there you go.
So dark. I love Gordon's reaction too. It's perfect. He's just like, oh god, this guy's a fucking comedian. Ugh. It's perfect. I love it. Oh my god, it's just he looks at he's just like, god, we got ourselves a fucking comedian. I'm surprised he didn't bring up the Joker, but I guess they were trying to keep the Joker out of this movie.
Yeah.
At least as much as they could. There is a deleted scene with the Joker, which we talked about last week.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. So, they end up looking around after the whole fiasco of finding that thumb drive. Jesus Christ.
Drive.
Wait, what'd you say?
Drive. Clever Matt Reeves.
Oh my god. So, they end up getting an actual thumb drive, like the actual thing, and they put it into a computer. And accidentally leak it to the media, and inadvertently leak the images to the media. I just think it's funny how they're always just like stumbling around and they accidentally like leak shit to the internet.
Yeah.
And Gordon's like, no, shit! God, what are we gonna do? He's like, I'm trying to stop it, but I can't.
It's too late now.
It turns out Mitchell was with this woman at the Iceberg Lounge, which, if you know from the comics, the Penguin runs that place, and it's basically like a gang hideout. It's basically like the Bada Bing from The Sopranos in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And Gordon's all like, "Oh, you know it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's run by Oswald Cobblepot. It's called the Penguin." He's like, "Yeah." Batman's like, I'm gonna go check that out. You can just, do whatever you're gonna do. Is there anything else we should talk about in between? We're not at the funeral yet.
Oh, no, we're not there yet.
Okay, so
Yeah, this is where we meet Cobblepot.
Yep. So Batman ends up arriving at this place, and he's like, hey, you know who I am? And these two twins are like, we know who you are. And then they, like, try to shut the door on him, and he just fucking wails on him. Just, like, again, just like, oh my god, the action in this movie is just, ooh, tough.
They fucking nailed it.
They just, tough, and he just starts kicking ass and taking names through the whole place. He's going ape on everybody. Dude tries to hit him with a bat, grabs the bat and just smacks him right in the nose with it. And then Penguin just hops up behind him. And he's like, ho, 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 take it easy, sweetheart. Come on inside. And he's like, you're vengeance, right? And he says something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Call them Vengeance. He's just called Vengeance, not Batman.
Basically, yep. I gotta say, Penguin in this movie, a lot of people are like, man, Colin Farrell, he was amazing. And you know what? I agree. He was amazing in this.
Oh, he was phenomenal. Unrecognizably phenomenal.
Oh my god, he was unrecognizable in that paint, in that action as well. Like, you could never tell it was him. He just fucking threw himself into that.
Yeah, I mean, not just from, like, like how visually he looks, but his voice. Like, how's that voice coming out of Colin Farrell?
I have no idea. Exactly. You're just like, that's unbelievable. This dude is... I mean, I knew that Colin Farrell was good. Like, In Bruges or Seven Psychopaths. Great films. And he was great in them. Oh my god. He is on another fucking planet with this one.
Oh, yeah, he did a phenomenal job. I mean, like, Danny DeVito, I mean, like, he'll always be the Penguin in my eyes. But Colin Farrell, man, you are right up there with him.
Oh, man, I mean, yeah, of course, Danny DeVito, he's kind of born for the part, But, man, Colin Farrell is amazing in this. And when you meet him, you just get this just disgusting, sleazy, just ugly vibe from him.
It's phenomenal.
Oh my god, yeah, and like if you were a woman, you probably would like have to hide the urge to slap him in the face because he's just like he's that kind of guy. He's just like, ugh, you just feel nasty when you hear him.
Oh yeah, I mean they treated this Penguin like an Italian mobster, which is awesome.
Oh my lord! And some people are like, oh, it's like Tony Soprano, and yeah, kind of. It's almost like if Tony were fucking disgusting. Oh my god! It's just, and he's like he's part of Carmine Falcone's crime syndicate, which I think is interesting. It's kind of a take from that one show that we won't talk about on here. That's not Titans.
Oh god.
Yeah, you know what it is. Anyways, so Penguin's like, I don't know about it. One of the things I like about Colin Farrell as the Penguin is that he doesn't just play it as a stereotype. He doesn't just go, forget about it, or I don't know what you're talking about, that kind of thing. He doesn't do none of that. He didn't go like, bada bing, none of that. Like,
no, thank goodness.
It's like he kind of elevates the stereotype a little bit. It almost makes him feel like he feels like a real person. Like he's a dude. He's just running his business, and he doesn't take shit from anybody. He doesn't like being called the Penguin either. It's like you're not gonna call that to his face, which is kind of a reference to a funny trend of gangsters that they hate their nicknames.
Yeah, it's like a slur to them.
Mm-hmm. But Penguin basically denies involvement, and he's all like, I don't fucking know what's going on. And I'm like, I look dozens of people coming here every day, It's like, I don't know. Like, don't ask me. I didn't do shit. Like, I'm not looking suspicious. You're looking suspicious. And, you gotta love the range of Robert Pattinson. I love how he's almost like, should I hit him? There's a couple moments where he's just like standing there and he's like should I hit him? Like, should I just like what should I do?
Yeah, like he's just strategizing on what he's gonna do.
Yeah. It's like later with Catwoman when they're like talking, she like touches his face and he's all like touching his cowl and he's like what should I do? Should I like kiss her or hit her? Like, I don't know.
Or do something else. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we don't want this turning into All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder. No one wants to turn into that.
Carlton would have if we brought him on here.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Oh Jesus. So he's looking around. He's like, "Have you seen this lady at all?" He's like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a thing, you know." And but he does one of my favorite just Batman detecting moment is when he notices Selena Kyle for the first time. She's wearing the exact same boots that woman's wearing in that photo. It's like, oh yes. I don't know why I like that so much, but I don't know why I like that so much out of all the other stuff. But it's brilliant.
It's genius.
And he kind of looks at Selena like, you're interesting. He's like, I'm gonna pay you a visit later. And he ends up like stalking her back to her house, and he's dressed up in his kind of incognito homeless guy look.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He's just like dressed up as some like he's all like, give me some change to like immerse himself to the role.
Oh yeah. like he's barely Bruce Wayne in this. He's either Batman or like as you said, a cognito homeless guy.
He's in his incognito homeless Batman look. And he ends up stalking Selena back to her house, and he's like watching her through the binoculars. And there you go again. Look through the binoculars, and he's like perving on her while she's changing. And he's like, ooh, okay, you know. Batman may be vengeance, but he has needs as much as any other man.
Oh yeah.
Though, hey, there is pornography, Batman.
Nah, he's too busy for that.
I mean, there is pornography for a reason, but, you know, I digress. He was going to question her, but she's like, oh, shit. He's like, crap. So he ends up sneaking in. He's like, oh, yes. Catwoman tries to rob a place, and that's how they meet for the first time.
Yep.
And
I also love Catwoman's music.
Oh yeah, very much so. I really like Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. She's very strong in the role.
Oh yeah, she's amazing in this.
Oh my god, like I mean, this is probably my favorite interpretation of the Batman Catwoman dynamic since like Batman Returns. Which one of the things I will say, even though I do like it. I do think it's not a problematic movie. That makes it sound like there's something racist in there. I'll just say this film. I'll say Batman Returns. I had issues with it, but I will say I did like the Batman Catwoman dynamic. But I love the Batman Catwoman dynamic in this movie. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, like, yeah, I think it's great. I mean, like the first introduction, like a cat burglar just robbing something. The Batman jumps in, he's like, you're pretty good at that.
Yeah, he almost admires her. He's like, all right. I like their little fight. She's like trying to hit him, and he's like in him the legs, and he's just like, he's trying to like take her down, but he's not trying to like kill her or anything. And then he like pins her down, and you're like, oh boy. Ooh, it's getting a little steamy in here. And then some guys end up breaking in, and they're like, oh shit, and they like hide in the room. And some guys start looking over. And she's like, look, you want me to... I also like her little mask, too.
Yeah, I love the simplicity of her mask. Like, she's got a ski mask, just cut it up, and there you go.
And give her little cat ears. Yep. So Batman ends up... So she ends up offering to help. He's like, I'm trying to get this case, and you know this woman? And he gives her like the photo of her friend, and she's like, oh yes, I do. And then she ends up taking him back to her place, and the place is just ruined by when she gets back over there. And she's like, oh no. Is this also where we get Is this where we get the stray cats line?
Oh, yeah. You got a lot of cats.
Oh, yeah. So they end up standing around, and he asks her about Annika, and she's like, no, she's cool. She just gets into some bad things, and he's like, fuck. Okay. Let's get out of here. He's like, all right, we're gonna have to go back to the Iceberg Lounge. She's like, really? He's like, yeah. And then he looks around. She sees all these cats, and he goes like, you got a lot of cats. She's all like, I got a thing for strays. She takes like a sip out of her coffee. You know, little moments of levity like that I really enjoy.
Yeah, those moments of levity really help this film.
Yeah, it's not like Zack Snyder where it's just super uber masculine, just like, do you bleed? And it just comes off as goofy, and he fucking Goku fumes off the ground.
Do you bleed with my digital mustache?
Pew! He like fucking Goku's off the ground. Like, what the fuck? Is this Dragon Ball Z? Anyways.
Yeah, off subject.
So Batman ends up taking her back to the ice lounge, or the iceberg lounge, and he gives her little eye things. He's like, look, you gotta wear these. And she's like, oh, what, why? She's all like, look, just do it. I'm not gonna make it. It's nothing weird, okay? There's cameras in there. I can communicate to you in there through them. And she's like, fine. Puts them in. She goes inside. And, we end up looking around. We see some people. We end up seeing that the district attorney is in there. And you're just like, oh, God. Batman ends up learning that Peter Savage, who was the commissioner, and apparently was one of Gordon's friends, ends up was corrupt and was on Falcone's payroll. And we end up meeting the man himself, Carmine the Roman Falcone, played by John Turturro. And what do you think about this, Jacob?
Oh boy, yeah. Great scene, and seeing John, what's his name again?
John Turturro.
Oh yeah, John Turturro. I think he did a pretty good job in this film.
I actually really liked him in this movie. You almost kind of get this sense of sadness from his character, but you also just get this just this really ugly, just disgusting vibe from him.
Indeed.
And especially with Catwoman, and he kind of like pets her face. It's so weird. I didn't like squirm in my seat, but it just made me like uneasy, or just like, ugh. Like, I don't like where this is going.
No, I'm just like, I hope this is like doesn't go the way I think it's gonna go.
Yeah, it's like there's super rapey vibes in this. You're just like, ugh, like, ugh. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. She ends up meeting the other guy, Gil Coulson, and Batman's like, hey, talk to her. And he's like, what? No, I'm looking for information about my friend. That's what we agreed on. And she's like, no. He's like, no, go sit over there and fucking talk to him. She's like, fine. She walks over, and she ends up talking to Gil Coulson, who's just fucking wasted out of his mind.
Yeah, he's wasted.
Oh my God, he's like, yo, these two guys just died. I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's basically doing that.
Yeah.
And Selina's just like, oh, cool, very, very nice. And then she like walks over, and then there she goes, runs right smack in the Carmine Falcone. And then we get that creepy scene where he's like covering her face. She's like, how you doing? And she's all like, I'm fine. And then Batman's all like, well, how do you know Falcone? And she's like, it doesn't matter. And he's like, I'm just curious. She's like, no. And then she just like shuts it off. He's like, come on. He's like, damn it, come on. Anyway, he's like, back to the drawing board. On the meanwhile, Coulson ends up talking to Selina, and they talk for a little bit. And on the meanwhile, the Riddler is in Coulson's car, and you're just like, oh my God. Again, you know, the Riddler is not just the antagonist of this movie, but he's almost a foil to Batman. What do you think about that, Jacob?
Oh, I agree.
You know, and there's actually a little thing I didn't notice until New Rockstar pointed it out. But his apartment, if you remember, it's like right next to Iceberg Lounge.
Oh.
And if you look carefully, you can see someone taking photos from like the window. That's the Riddler, apparently. I'm like, bro, I didn't even freaking notice that. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, the attention to detail is unbelievable.
Did you notice that in your second watch?
Yes, I did. I was like, it's the Riddler watching them. That makes so much more sense. What the attention of detail, like Matt Reeves really went all in for in this film.
Oh yeah, he smacked as much detail as he could in this. And back to my original point though, the Riddler is almost a foil to Batman in a way. It's these two men who basically have just been driven insane by this city. Yep. And I mean, it becomes more obvious later. And even to the point where the Riddler, again, is almost like this spirit.
Yeah, he's just like this figure that just so happens to exist.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how to... It's almost like he's a boogeyman, just like Batman.
Yes, exactly.
And when Coulson gets in, he just knocks him out and just, like, casually... Like... He goes from, like, over-the-top theatrics to just awkwardly murdering people. I bet he, like, sits in his room and he's, like, prepping. He's like, oh, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fucking nail this riddle. Everyone's gonna just be awed by it. Batman's gonna love this, and, you know. I love Paul Dano in this movie. Anyways. So, he ends up knocking out Coulson and ends up just taking off. Batman the next day ends up attending the funeral of Don Mitchell Jr. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but you know, Pattinson more or less leans on the fact that Batman is a I don't want to say trauma or well. He leans on the obsessive vigilante / detective part of Batman's character, but I like the little moments where you can sense the compassion of Batman, like when he sees the little boy, Don Mitchell's kid.
Oh yeah, it just shows like he's not just like this cold-hearted vigilante.
Yeah, and it's actually quite subtly done, which I enjoy. You can kind of tell that Bruce almost sees himself in that kid.
Oh yeah, I mean you can tell in his face that he's just like, you know.
Yeah, it's like he understands that, but he's so like in the Batman, just like it's like he's. It's almost like he's. It's a weird thing. Like I said, the personas are blurred in this, where Batman and Bruce Wayne just are indistinguishable in this film.
No, it's like he's. It feels like he's always Batman. Like. If he is in his suit, if he's not in his suit.
Yeah, like he's always like in Batman mode. Like he can't turn it off.
Oh yeah, like he's just so focused on like the Riddler's little game that like he's like completely like he just doesn't like
Yeah, even like, to the point. Even to the point. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's just completely like what's the word? He's completely distant from the real world, basically.
Basically, yep. He's like, I'm Batman now.
I still am.
There's even a little detail where he's like eavesdropping on the cops, and they're like, "Hey, you're Bruce Wayne, right?" And he's all like, "Oh, yeah, hi." And he's like, you can tell he's like internally screaming.
Mm-hmm.
You know those memes with the internally screaming? That's basically Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne this entire film.
Yeah, exactly. Internally screaming every time.
It's just... Oh, Lord. It's... God, it's... Yeah, he's just, like, standing there just awkwardly watching, and the cops are like, "Hey, you're Bruce Wayne, right?" He takes like, his car there, and by the way, that's a sexy-ass car that he drives over. He ends up getting out, and he sees Falcone walking with this woman, and he ends up thinking that it's Selena, but he walks over to some other lady, and Falcone recognizes him, and he's like, "Hey, I know you." He's like, God. People are blowing up my Facebook today. It's ridiculous. Anyways. He thinks it's Selena, and Falcone's like, hey, I know you. And he's all like, oh, God. And Falcone ends up giving the story of how he knows Bruce Wayne. And basically recounts, beat for beat, the story of Bruce's dad helping Falcone after he got shot, which was depicted in The Long Halloween.
Oh, yes.
What do you think about that? What do you think about Bruce and Falcone's relationship in this movie?
I like it. Like, there's, like... Of course, there was some history with his dad, with Bruce's dad and Falcone. And I love the fact that, like, they made Batman's parents, like, they weren't bad people, but they weren't perfect. Like, they made mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to go the Telltale game route, where it turned out that Bruce's parents were also corrupt, and it wasn't just they were good people who got gunned down. But I'm glad that they gave that little twist that it wasn't that Thomas Wayne was corrupt secretly. It was just like he... also, one of the themes I'd like to point out in this movie is desperation.
Yes.
Or more or less, it's a motif in this film.
Oh, indeed.
And I mean, again, we'll get to that later, but that is a thing in this.
Mm-hmm.
They are hanging out at the funeral, but then suddenly, Bella Real shows up. She's Mitchell's rival, and she talks to Wayne like, "Hey, we know your parents were well." He's like, "Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you," and he's like, "Uh huh." And again, like he's so in Batman zone. He's not even paying attention to what this lady's saying. I'm sure.
No, he's just so focused. Like, yeah, he is in Batman mode.
Yeah, and she's just like, well, and she starts like talking to him about she wants some help from her campaign, and Batman's like, and Bruce is just like, I don't give a fuck about this, and she's like, I'm gonna go pay my respects. Wait for me here. And she's like, all right, whatever. But then suddenly, you hear a car crashing through, and Bruce immediately looks up, and you see this looming figure there looking. And Batman immediately notices, again, back to Batman's skill at being a detective is showcased in this film, is that he's always scanning the room.
Always strategizing, because Batman is a master strategist.
Oh, yes, exactly. And the car just bursts in, and everyone runs out of the way, and Batman runs over and saves the little boy, and that's who Batman is, moment for me in this movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And he ends up getting up, and, of course, Jim Gordon and all the other cops pull out their guns like, freeze, get out of the car right now! And it turns out, ya boy, Gil Coulson is back, and he has like a bomb strapped to him, and it is just, oh boy, now we're getting into Saw territory.
Oh, yeah. Whew. Matt Reeves, you sick bastard.
Matt Reeves and the other writers of this movie, and other people who were involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Coulson ends up getting a call on it. He has a phone strapped to his arm, and he's basically trying. And Gordon gives the whole, "Oh God, it's Coulson." That always that line you see in those movies when they it's in Jason Bourne. It's in the Jason Bourne movies. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it's Jason Bourne. Okay, not quite the same, but So Bruce is like, I gotta turn into Batman, and he has the letter strapped on his chest. So there you go. Oh yeah, I figured out from the other letter that he was gonna strike at the funeral. That's why he showed up there. Forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah.
So he ends up showing up as Batman, and he ends up answering the Riddler's call, and he's all like, and the Riddler, of course, and we get a sense of who the Riddler is. What do you think of Paul Dano as a Riddler? I know that's kind of something that people mostly like it, though there's some people who kind of think it's a little over the top at times. What do you think about it?
I disagree with the people who say he's over the top. I meant like one scene in particular, which we'll get into soon. But Paul Dano is the Riddler. For me, in my opinion, he's like right behind Heath Ledger in regards to like being just insane and just like scary. Like he is scary, like just from his design, in his voice, and I love how he set up his game. And Paul Dano is the Riddler. I mean, Paul Dano, he's a fantastic actor. I mean, There Will Be Blood, Swiss Army Man. He's a phenomenal actor. And he did not disappoint playing the Riddler. And again, I love that they made the Riddler a Zodiac type of killer, brings him down to earth.
Yeah, I agree. I really like how this film actually feels like a Batman film rather than just Nolan's Batman or Burton's Batman. It just feels like Batman. Yes. And one of the things I like is that they managed to combine the almost scary, gritty real world of this kind of world we're in, while also he has the bit of the theatricality that you'd expect from a Batman villain, which makes it fun.
Yeah, it makes it fun.
Which, I mean, it makes it fun, to watch.
And
And does he get over the top? I mean, you could make an argument, but I think it makes sense for his character because he is kind of this manic, crazy person.
It's the Riddler. I mean, the Riddler has always been a very eccentric Batman villain, and he is eccentric in this. I mean, like, the Riddler has to be eccentric in it. No matter what. That's just who he is. One
of my favorite moments in the movie is later on. I don't know if I should talk about it right now, but it's like when he's on the internet and he's like talking to his like internet followers.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get to that later. Yeah. I love it. Who the fuck keeps messaging me on Facebook? I'm doing a podcast right now. Stop it. Anyway. So Riddler is all like, I've been trying to reach you. And Batman's all like, okay. And then he ends up giving Coulson a little game so that he could live. So he gives him 3 riddles for him to solve. And, of course, Coulson's scared out of his mind. And he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And Batman just, like, that's one of the things, like, Batman just, like, instantly gets the riddles. He's like, yep, this is what this is. Don't question me how I know it. I just do.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the answer's justice.
He's like, oh, okay. So he tells him justice. He's like, okay, good. And he tells him the next one. I think the next one's, like, an informant.
Yeah, it's, what's the riddle? Oh, yeah. If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
Yeah, and that's informant.
Uh-huh.
And then he's all like, okay, and then he just kind of like, or does he give him a riddle when he says, like, and he basically he's telling him who's the guy who's the rat.
Oh, yeah, the last riddle is like, the answer is like the rat, and who's the rat that you're following?
Yeah, it turns out there was, earlier, there was this thing mentioned in the movie that there was this historic drug bust that ended Sal Maroni's operation, and Riddler just sprayed lies on it. So, there you go. So Batman tries to deactivate the bomb and he tries to get Coulson to answer the third, but he's just too afraid to. And he's all like, dude, you're gonna die. And he's all like, I can't, he's gonna kill me. He's like, dude, you're gonna die anyway, just say it. And he's like, no. And then he blows up.
Yeah, I'm surprised Batman, like, didn't die, or at least his suit got fucking
Yeah, I'm surprised his suit didn't get, like, at least a little damaged. I'm like, okay, yeah, he has armor. That's fine. I can roll with that. But it didn't get a little damaged? Really? Okay, whatever. Nitpicking aside. He gets blown away.
That scene, like, every time I watch that scene now, I think of, like, the Hishy because I'm Batman.
That's perfect. Oh my god, that's great. I love that. Oh man, that's great. I love you, Jacob. Oh, you love yourself? Okay, no, but so oh god, so Batman. I keep thinking, and now I'm thinking of the Hishy. I'm thinking of the Hishy parody of this movie when that comes out, and Batman just like gets up after getting blown up, and Gordon's just like, "How are you not dead?" And he's like, "'Cause I'm Batman." And he just like runs off to the night. Oh jeez. Oh god. Okay. So, So they end up bringing Batman to the PD, and Batman is like getting operated on, and his ears are ringing, of course, because he got blown up. And he like wakes up, and he like gets up, and he starts like trying to attack everyone, and then Gordon's all like, "Yo, no, dude, hey, calm down." And he's all like, "All right." And then like this like mustachioed guy, which here's a funny story for you. When I was watching this movie, I see that mustachio guy, the guy with the mustache, like part of the whole thing. He's like, yeah, he has that like really weird high voice, raspy high voice.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I recognize that dude from some. I can't name it though. Like, I didn't say it out loud, but I was watching it with my dad. I'm like, this dude looks really familiar. I can't name him at the moment. And then as I looked at him, it clicked, and I realized this is the guy who played Paul in the Bible series. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but no, all right. But I'm like, oh, that's funny. And I told my dad, I'm like, oh, it's the dude who played Paul. He's like, oh, sweet. So yeah, there you go. I'm like, oh, yeah, very well. So Batman and Gordon. So Batman ends up getting together, and Gordon is basically vouching for Batman. And the guy's like, "Fine, I'll give you 10 minutes." And he like runs off. And then Batman's all like, "Dude, who we can trust in this?" And then Gordon's all like, "Yo, man, you think you can, you can like." He basically subtly tells him, "You can punch me in the face and take my keys if you want." And Batman's all like, "Oh, okay." And he looks at the guy. It turns out it was the guy. I didn't notice this again because I was a dummy, but it was the same guy. The guy who tried to hit him with the bat, and he took the bat and smacked him in the face. And he's like, "Who's that guy with the broken nose?" So like, oh, I forget that dude's name, but he's from Vice. He's all like, "I ran into him at the club." And he's all like, "Who can we trust?" He's all like, "I don't know." And he's all like, and he basically subtly tells him, "You can punch me and take the keys." And Batman's like, "Okay." And he just randomly just punches him in the face and takes his keys and just runs out of the building. You're like, what? You're like, what?
Who's the mustache with the broken nose? You, Gordon.
And he like hits him in the face and just like takes off, and the cops are like, "Oh, he punched him." After him, boys.
He punched him. He's gone rogue.
He's exactly. It's like he's like, "He's got a gun," and he just starts shooting at him. Jeez.
Now Gordon's the mustache with the broken nose.
Yeah, the mustache, the broken nose. Ends up running out of the building. We get that scene in the trailer when he zips up the. I love his gadgets in this movie. I forgot to mention that. Aren't his gadgets awesome?
Oh yeah, his use of gadgets is phenomenal. I mean, like the eye contact ones, like, oh my god, it's genius. And the other ones.
I love his grappling gun.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, again, I love how this movie doesn't try to do the Nolan thing and just make it super realistic. It just kind of combines the comic bookiness of it and the kind of grittiness, and it's a nice blend.
It is indeed. And another gadget, which we'll get into soon, which happens next when he's escaping the cops.
Oh, did I skip the cops?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, the wingsuit.
Oh, yeah, the wingsuit. Oh, man, that... Ooh. I wince every time I think about this scene. He takes, like, this wingsuit, and he, like, flies down, and he manages to get on top of the roof, but he, like, hits his head on the bridge, and he, like, flies over into the alleyway. It's just like, God! Shit looks like it hurts.
I also love how they filmed, like, Batman was having, like, a GoPro, like, following him.
Yeah, I really like that, too. There's a lot of creative camera shots in this movie. I forgot to mention that.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So Batman ends up... Isn't this where he finds Catwoman beating the shit out of the guy?
No, that's later on.
Oh, that's later on. Oh yeah, that is later. Never mind. So Batman and Gordon, Batman ends up going to the light, and then Gordon shows up. He's like, "Damn, dude, could have pulled it a little bit." He's like, "I did." You know, I gotta say, I love the dynamic of Jim Gordon and Batman in this movie. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's great. The dynamic between them is like, it's like how I envisioned like the Gordon and Batman dynamic.
Yeah, I like how in this movie it's kind of an uneasy respect. Like, they respect each other.
Yes.
But there's kind of like there's some tension there.
Indeed.
I mean, yeah, there's tension. I actually thought the movie was going to end with Batman revealing his identity to Gordon. I was going to be like, I'm going to call it. That's how it's going to end. But I was wrong, actually. So I guess they're saving that for a rainy day. No pun intended. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Batman just fucking smashes in the ground. He ends up meeting Gordon later, and he's like, "God, who could this being be?" And he's like, and he gives a hint. It's to look this shit up. I have to look this shit up. Oh, yes. El Rata Alada. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Villains Wiki. I don't know what I'd do without you.
God bless you.
God bless that site. Really. Oh, God. Anyways, so Batman and Gordon are like, what the hell does La Rata Alada mean? And have you seen the meme where they're both in like a Spanish class? Or it's like an illustration on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious. It's like,
so funny.
He's like, how are we gonna figure this out? And they're both in a Spanish class. And then all the kids are just like giving him weird looks. He's like, hey. And they're like, hey. We're learning too.
So good. So
And
good.
even the teacher's just like, huh? Like, this is weird.
So good.
Also brings up one of the other things. I like how Batman gets things wrong in this movie. Like, he's not just like this invincible being.
Oh, yeah. And it goes back, like, to him, like, he's been Batman for 2 years.
Like,
so
he's
of course
skilled.
not
He's skilled as a detective and as a fighter, but, you know, like, he has missteps along the way. Like, he's still a man.
Yeah, he's still learning, and this movie is, in my opinion, a coming-of-age story.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually.
Like, it's not an origin of, like, him losing his parents and all of that. Coming-of-age story of, like, him trying to be, like, to get better as Batman and trying to be the Batman that Gotham needs him to be.
Oh, yeah. So, Batman and Gordon wonder who La Rata Ada is. And they're like, oh, wait, it's the Penguin. It has to be, because, who else is it? What's a bird that can't fly? And they're like, what's a rat? It means rat with wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, it's Penguin. Has to be. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because he has that thing about him where you think, he seems like the type who'd rat.
Yep.
It's funny, too. It's like, oh, I was even tricked for a moment. I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever, It's like, what's a rat with wings? Penguin. Like, oh, that's perfect.
So perfect.
Oh, jeez. So Gordon and Batman they end up deducing that the informant might be Penguin. And they end up tracking him to a drug deal where the guy from earlier, the guy with the high voice and the mustache, is like, hey, you got the stuff? And he's like, yeah. And he gets like some stuff. And then like Batman's looking through the binoculars again. There you go. Binoculars motif.
Oh, yeah.
And looks through and he sees Selina. I gotta say, I love Robert Pattinson's expressions as Batman. I like how he like takes the thing off and he's like, I gotta see what she's doing before she kills herself.
This movie does a lot with silence.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they definitely. And Matt Reeves is really good at silence in general. Like, there's the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the beginning of that movie, when Caesar is, like, in the tree and he's, like, waiting for his boys. Like, he's so good at that.
Like, phenomenal. I mean, like, and the other reason why Pattinson's my favorite Batman, like, yeah, just his facial expressions to, like, a reveal or something like that. Like, you can tell in his face, like, he's like, oh, shit, or something like that. Like, it just shows, like, how great of an actor Pattinson is.
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, better go down there before she does something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So, Selina's, like, looking through some money, and she's, like, trying to steal some money, and then Batman just, like, is there. She's like, fuck. Like, do you like sneaking up on people, or is that later?
Oh, that's later.
Oh. Yeah, I love how he sneaks up on people, in Batman style,
Mm-hmm.
There's the tropes that'll never die. He just kind of shows up out of nowhere.
Because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman. So they end up tracking him to a drug deal, and him and Batman and Selina are arguing before Penguin just shows up with an Uzi and just starts shooting, and Gordon shows up, and he's like, shit, and he drives over, and he starts shooting. And oh man, it's a battle. What do you think about this scene?
Oh boy, I love it. I mean, the fighting in this is like, it's what I wanted to see in a Batman film. The fighting in this is like straight out of the Arkham games.
Oh my god, yes, it's great. Batman gets like knocked out by a shotgun blast, I guess. I forget.
Oh yeah.
And then, but he gets back up and gets better of him, and he ends up Penguin gets into his car and just bolts, and the dude's like, "Wait, what about our money?" And then like Catwoman comes over and just knocks his ass out, just socks him. Batman's like, I gotta get after this. He gets into his car, and then we get the Batmobile. Oh. This is my favorite Batmobile. No, I mean, I like Tumbler, and I don't mind. I also like the one from the animated series and Batman 89, but this one, oh man, I may be biased because I love old 70s muscle cars, but oh man, the Batmobile looks amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, ranking the Batmobiles, I mean, like, for me personally, Ben's is my favorite. Pattinson's is a close second, because Ben's can do a little bit more.
Oh yeah, Ben does have a good Batmobile. I forgot about Ben.
Oh yeah. I like the more sleek and more simple look to it. I mean, I've always liked Bale's Batmobile because I used to have the toys when I was little. But for me, if I were Batman, I wouldn't want to take it into battle because it just feels too heavy. It's a tank.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's a bit too. It's like taking a sledgehammer to a poker game. That's not right.
Yeah.
It's like taking a sledgehammer to a library, or taking a sledgehammer to a illegal poker game. Like, it's just like, what, cops?
Exactly. I mean, all it could do was shoot out a motorcycle and just tear up some shit.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the design of the tumbler. I like the tumbler, but it's like taking a sledgehammer to, Batman's stealthy, right?
Yeah.
Well, you bring this damn thing, you're like, oh, I think someone's here, guys.
Like, oh boy, yeah, that's the tumbler.
It's like, I think Batman's here. We should probably leave.
He's like, oh boy, his tank. We should probably leave. We don't want to get crushed by it.
Yeah.
Like for me, Pattinson's and Ben's, like, they're faster and they can maneuver more. Like, you can you can strategize without having to tear up some shit while strategizing. You can escape. Like, even with Keaton's Batmobile can do more, and both Kilmer and Clooney's futuristic sex toys could do more than a tumbler.
I remember. Then we get. I will say we do get to one of my other favorite scenes of this movie, which is the chase scene between the Penguin and Batman.
Oh yeah.
And oh man, what a chase it is!
Oh yeah, it is riveting.
Oh, it is sexy. It's so sleek, and he has that freaking car. Oh, so good. And he's driving around, and it's basically like a more sleek version of the great chase scene from The French Connection.
Indeed.
And oh my god, the suspense of that scene is out of fucking water. It is just, he's driving around, avoiding cars. He's running into cars. He's trying to avoid cars crashing into each other. Penguin's just running for his life. He's going on the wrong lane. He's crashing into cars. Oh my lord.
Like the wreckage.
And yeah, I'm just like, oh lord, I hope nobody died in this accident. Probably did in that explosion. Anyways, so Batman chases Penguin for a little bit, and oh my god, what a chase it is.
Oh, it's fucking exhilarating.
Oh my lord, he's driving around, and he's just like, oh yeah, and then he ends up blowing up a car, and he starts celebrating. He's like, yeah, I got you, you freaking psycho, yeah, I got you. And then Batman ends up just out of the flames, almost like again, Spirit of the Night. Oh, so good.
Oh, you thought you got rid of me. Psych.
He's all like, how did I not blow you up? Because I'm Batman. He just rolls, and he flips him over. Or does he flip over by himself?
Yeah, he flips him over.
Oh yeah, yes. He crashes into, he rear ends him, and he just flips him over. Penguin didn't die because I guess gangsters do wear their seatbelts.
Yeah.
He gets out, and Batman just gets out of that freaking car, and he looks like a boss. He almost which kind of goes to the Bat motif as well. But what were you gonna say there?
Oh, and the fucking shot.
Oh my god, that shot! Oh, the same guy who did Rogue One, and even though I have problems with Rogue One, it looked amazing.
I mean, I fucking hated Rogue One, but the cinematography was amazing, and same with the Batman. He did not disappoint.
Oh my god, yes. I mean, I bitch and complain about the Rogue One movie. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It's not an awful movie, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But now I forgot what I've talked about. What was I talking about, Jacob?
Oh yeah,
Rogue One. I was talking about Rogue One. Cinematography in Rogue One is just, so good.
Same with the Batman. The cinematography.
Also the music. Oh my god, the music in that scene. Oh, that's a Batman theme. Almost sounds like Darth Vader's theme in that movie.
It does. I mean, honestly, I don't know if it's just me. Like, the score for me, it gives me Arkham vibes.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He walks out, and the Penguin, he looks petrified.
Again, Batman as a symbol of fear.
Oh yeah, he's pissing himself. They end up capturing him, and here's another one of my favorite scenes. And again, Colin Farrell murders it as the Penguin. I like how the scene combines intensity but also humor.
Yes.
Especially when Penguin corrects him on their Spanish. He's like, "What? You not take a Spanish class?" It's so good, and he's like, "No, dude, it's like this." And he's like, "It's so good." What do you think of this scene?
God, those moments of levity.
Yeah,
really,
again, it's so good, and it's so natural too.
It is. I mean, like, it's not like, oh, it doesn't feel forced. Like, it feels like, I mean, DC movies, like the ones like that aren't the DCEU, they had jokes, but they're smart. Like, the Dark Knight trilogy had jokes, but they're smart. But to be honest, Batman Begins is actually a fairly funny movie. Like, nice coat. Or something like that.
Or yeah, when he busts in to the asylum and he's like, "Excuse me, gentlemen."
Yes. But with this film, like, it's a more grounded and gritty film, but you have to have moments of levity. It can't just be a super depressing and somber movie.
Yeah, then it just becomes kind of goofy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one film that came out that I don't really want to talk about. Excuse me. Sorry, jeez, I'm really stuffed up today, Jacob. I don't know what it is. I'm getting I'm allergic to bad movies. I think that's what it is.
We all
are. Let's see. Oh yes, I love the scene with the Penguin. Just they're hanging out, and I like how it combines intensity but also with humor. He's like, "Oh, tata, you not take a Spanish class?" I'm like, "How the fuck does Penguin know Spanish?"
I know. Out of all people, the Penguin knows Spanish.
Yeah,
sure.
it sounds goofy, but it kind of works because it's funny. It's like the last person you'd expect to like know some Spanish is this fat Italian dude who runs a club. Oh my god. But he insists he's not the rat. He's like, I ain't no rat. And he's like, hey, stop bullshitting us. We know it was you. He's like, it's not. And he's like, I promise, it's not. And he then gets a computer. Didn't he leave the suitcase as well?
Oh, yeah.
Ends up pulling up.
Yeah.
He ends up pulling up the suitcase and he it's like a computer, and I think that's really cool. I always really like those computer suitcase things.
Yeah, they're clever actually.
Yes.
He pulls computer in disguise.
Like he starts typing back and forth with the Riddler, and the Riddler ends up saying And Batman then suddenly thinks it could be me, but I didn't rat any. It's like, well, what's who's a rata with wings? Who's a rat with wings? And he's like, a bat? And you're like, I don't know. And then he ends up texting Riddler like, yo, this riddle's whack. Hit me, like, stop playing these games. Alright. Sorry about that. My mother was talking to me. What were you saying, Jacob?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love the moments of levity in interrogating Cobblepot, but then I also have have you guys learned Spanish? Even though, like, the Penguin, you know Spanish? Sure.
I just think that's hilarious. He just knows Spanish for some reason.
Like, that's classic Penguin right there.
It's like, yeah, it's him who knows Spanish for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Fun now, I believe.
I bet Gordon's just like, I underestimated you, Penguin. So he ends up so Batman with his computer basically texts the Riddler like, "Yo, this Riddle's whack. What are you hiding from us?" But Riddler, being a cheeky bastard that he is, decides to leave another message, and he says, "I grew up from a seed, as tough as a weed, but in a mansion in a slum. I'll never know where I come from." And Batman thinks about it, and then he gets it, and he's all like, "I got it." And they end up driving over to this old, decrepit orphanage. And it's like, God, you think the city looks bad? This orphanage is just, you get these, again, just nasty. Just get these nasty vibes from it.
Yeah. Ugh. God, I feel like taking a shower.
I asked if you need to take a shower before.
Oh yeah, but we're talking about the Batman.
Oh. Oh, sorry. That escaped my mind there for a minute. Batman ends up walking in with Gordon, and they're just creeped out by the place. And oh my God, the suspense in that scene. Oh. Wait, what were you saying?
Oh, I was agreeing. Like, oof, the suspense.
And oh God, I will say, why wasn't jump scared by the Riddler reveal when that homeless guy, drug addict, meth head guy shows up and just skitters across the room? Like I jumped like that, like legit. Like I didn't yell or anything, but I jumped. I was like, oh shit.
Like man, like if like Matt Reeves, like think about directing horror, because I think you'd be a master at jump scares.
Yeah, and they like look in and there's like a group of just homeless drug addicts, and they're like, it's a couple of drop hits. Let's move on to the other room. And they like go upstairs, and then he's leaving like signs like, this is where I come from. He's like, my origin story. Well, it ends up turning out that it was an orphanage that was funded by Bruce's parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne. And they end up learning that the Riddler, well, he ain't a fan of the Waynes too much.
Nope.
And it turns out the Riddler was pissed off that their little thing that they were trying to do didn't really pan out. I forget what exactly. Oh, it was the renewal campaign, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Batman watches kind of in horror and also just in, oh shit, how Batman just like looks at it and he's like putting it together. He's like, huh, okay, so he has a grudge against my family. He has a grudge against my family, okay, and then he gives like a little detail. Turns out the Riddler like drops the mic again and leaked the evidence that Thomas, who was running for mayor, hired Falcone to kill a journalist who was revealing embarrassing details. Who was going to reveal embarrassing details about. Apparently, this version of Martha Wayne had a history of mental illness, and again, kind of goes back to that motif of because she was in Arkham. And it kind of goes back to that motif I kind of picked up on, is that Gotham kind of drives people insane.
Yeah, it just drives them to their breaking point.
Yeah, kind of goes back to that desperation motif. And once again, There you go. And Thomas Wayne ends up in, I don't know if you caught this, but I caught this for the first time. The guy's last name is Elliot. And if you know from Batman comics, the villain Hush His real name is Tommy Elliott. Mm-hmm. Little bat fact for you today. Which is why my conspiracy theory is that I think that the next villain of the movie might be Hush.
That'd be genius.
I think that could be interesting. Hopefully it's done better than the comic. Yes, there's my hot take. Batman Hush, not as huge a fan of as The Long Halloween.
That I agree on.
It's a little convoluted. I do hope if Hush is going to be the next villain of the next movie, though I am pulling for Scarecrow as well. That I would really like that.
Oh yeah, give us a good Scarecrow.
Hopefully, I'm hoping that they do Hush even better than the comics did, because in the comics it's a little convoluted for my taste. In my opinion, Carlton, don't disown me.
You know who I love. You know who I would love to see them do as a villain. I don't think they will, because Matt Reeves go for a more grounded approach. But I would love if he did Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that would be cool, and I've heard Matt Reeves say he would really like to do Mr. Freeze. And I wouldn't be against that. I mean, I know the last live-action adaptation was, well, let's just say it was less than stellar. I wouldn't mind seeing a live-action Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to see a good portrayal of Mr. Freeze.
Oh, you bastard!
I had to.
You had to? Okay, I'll give you that. Ah, you fuck.
That's for high freeze on Batman, fucker.
Oh, jeez. I probably deserve that. It's okay.
No, I think that's funny.
Yeah, no, I know. It was funny. So, Batman is like, okay, this is bullshit. He's like, Alfred's got some explaining to do. And then he realizes, oh, shit. And he, starts scrambling back to his house. Turns out the next target was Bruce Wayne. And Alfred, unfortunately, ends up... turns out that Bruce Wayne was the next target, and he ends up opening a letter, and Alfred just gets blown up.
He dies. No, I'm kidding.
Yo, I thought for a second he died. I'm like, wow, that...
No, I thought so.
I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that. Okay.
My heart dropped. I was like, they better not have killed him all.
I'm like, whoa. And Batman, of course, he calls the maid lady on the phone. He's like, "Look, where's Alfred?" And she's like, "It's like, if you get something, do not open it. It is a bomb." And she's like, "Oh, it's too late, Bruce, or it's too late, Master Bruce. He got blown up." And Bruce is like, "Damn it." He's like, "Damn it." And it's like this big thing. And then it turns out, miraculously, Alfred survived the explosion. There's one thing I'll say. How the fuck did he survive that? I just have to say that. I'm sorry. It's nitpicky.
Because he's Alfred.
It's nitpicky. But how the fuck did he survive that? That is insane.
Because he's Alfred.
Because he's Alfred. Okay, I'll give it that way. I'll take that.
He's Batman's butler. And if anyone who works at Batman, they're also Batman. They'll survive anything.
Yeah, I bet. I'm surprised no one was like, "God, he got blown up, and he doesn't have armor like Batman." So you think, "Oh, he's probably dead." Nope, he's still alive, and You're like, "Oh my lord, that is insane."
Nope. Anyone who works at Batman, they're also Batman, unless if they're Jason Todd.
Oh, had to go there.
Yeah, but no, he's not actually dead. But anyway,
came back to life. Because I was Batman's protege. Yeah, no, anyways.
Yeah.
He's like, beat death because I'm Batman. So Bruce is not happy with Alfred and waits for him to wake up. And we finally get to see Bruce open up a little bit. That's kind of his arc in the movie, is that, as Batman, like, Selina at first started his journey to start, like, opening up more to people, and Gordon as well, but this is actually, I think, one of the most, like, emotional scenes of the movie, when Alfred wakes up.
Oh, I agree.
And he basically goes to the thing where he's like, I became Batman because of a lie. And he's like, in Falcone, or actually, no. He goes to see Falcone first.
Yeah.
And he's actually Bruce Wayne for once. What?
And that's when he realized Albert lied to him when he visited Falcone.
Yeah, Batman is... Bruce goes to see Falcone. And Falcone is like, I knew you'd come here. Something like that. He has like a weird fondness for Bruce Wayne for some reason.
Yeah. Strange.
It's like I don't know. It's a weird thing. And he's like, you were watching me right up there. And he treats him like his son or something. You're like, dude, he barely even fucking knows you. Like, what are you doing?
It's like, weirdo.
And he ends up talking to Falcone. And Falcone basically explains that his father came to him because this journalist was about to go yo dog, about to expose your wife. And Thomas Wayne was not going to let that happen, so he asked me to get rid of him. So that's what he did. And he's like, it was an ugly business. And Bruce, of course, is horrified by this, because now he believes that, one, he realizes Alfred was not telling him the truth. And two, he fears that being Batman has been a lie, was based on a lie.
Yeah.
He ends up visiting Alfred, and this becomes the most emotional part of the scene where Bruce finally kind of opens up to Alfred a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh man, music, once again. Damn it, Giacchino. This dude's, quickly becoming one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. He is my favorite. After the Batman. Oh, man. Dude's a genius.
Oh, Lord, yeah, he's popped up in there. He's a great, great, great composer.
Indeed.
He confronts Alfred, anyways, so he confronts Alfred, and he's like, you lied to me. The whole reason I became Batman, it was a lie. And he's like, but Alfred gives a really heartbreaking account. He basically explains that Thomas became desperate, and he had only asked Falcone to threaten the journalist into silence. But Falcone went a bit too far and ended up accidentally killing the guy. And of course, Thomas was terrified of this, was horrified, and he decided that he couldn't live with it. So he ended up turning himself into. He said he was going to turn himself into the police and figure out what was going on. But Alfred thinks that Falcone had Thomas and Martha killed so that they wouldn't be able to do that. Really sad scene. What do you think of this scene, Jacob?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, the most emotional scene in the movie where, as you said, we see Bruce Wayne open up to Alfred and basically saying, I didn't want to lose another person I love. Yeah,
basically. He kind of gives this, kind of broody, I don't want to lose you kind of thing. He's mad at Alfred, but he kind of loves Alfred. It's a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
Batman be weird.
That's who Batman is.
Oh, jeez. So, Alfred you can just see the guilt on his face for failing to protect Thomas and Martha. He's like, I know you always blamed yourself, but I'm the one who always... And he's like, I was the one who was supposed to protect them, right? And then Bruce just kind of takes Alfred's hand. And you're like, oh, see, he does care about him. So Bruce ends up returning back to his home after that little emotional scene, and ends up basically tearing up the place. And he decides to make his little detective thing, which another just straight out of 7. by the way. I picked this up. I'm like, oh, he's like borrowing visual language from Seven there with the, there's a scene where it says wrath on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can see he says sins of my father, this, that, and it's like all over, and he's basically doing the detective work now.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
So he looks around for a little bit, basically trying to crack this. And I remember I was whispered to my dad, I'm like, okay, this is all coming together, but how does the Riddler fit into this?
Yeah.
Because it still hasn't been explained.
Nope.
So he's basically doing his thing and just figuring out how the hell, or what the hell's going on, and what is this case? I can't get it. And it turns out Selena is calling him, and she's like, hey, can you hear me on this? And then he, like, awkward. Again, I love his facial expressions. He's almost like, huh? Like, she's contacting me? Okay. He, like, puts it up to his ear. He's like, hey, what's up? Or he puts it in his eye. He's like, hello, I'm here. What's up? And she basically, I forget exactly, what does she say to him, Jacob?
Which scene are we at?
Selena's calling him after he's doing his detective thing.
Oh, yeah. I do not remember.
I think it's a part where she says Falcone's her dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think she's like, oh, I got Falcone or something.
Oh, yes. She says she has the guy. She has a guy that he thinks he'd be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman's like, okay, I'm on my way. And he just, like, he takes his thing off and he ends up going back into Batman. And he sees she has the light on and he arrives and she's just beating the fuck out of this dude.
It's like, damn.
She's literally like, you're like, damn, like, okay, like, beating the crap out of this guy. And oh yeah, she does end up telling her that Falcone is her father, which is straight out of the Long Halloween as well. This is basically like the Long Halloween and Year One combined with a little bit of ego to spice things up.
Yeah.
Britton, do not open the door.
Okay. My mother, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard that. Let us see. Oh yes, she arrives and she's kicking the shit out of this guy, and she's wanting to kill him, but Batman's like, no, we're not killing anyone. She's like, come on. He's like, no. If we kill, we're just like them. And she's like, oh, hell no. And there's the other, like, big moment where I'm like, that's Batman. Like, Matt Reeves gets Batman. Love this guy.
Oh, yeah. He understands the character.
Yeah, and he doesn't kill people. Again, how many times I have to say that to people? He does not murder people. Yes, he does it in 89. That is not one of the things I like about that movie. Aside from that, 89 is a good Batman movie. Batman v Superman is a bad Batman film. For reasons I'm not going to get into today. But Batman doesn't kill people. And I don't care about any of the previous things he did. Where he did kill people. I don't care about that. Alright? I'll just put that out there. But yeah, my mini rant's over. She says Selena is pissed off. She ends up realizing that Falcone strangled her friend, whose name is Annika, because Mitchell told her that Falcone was actually El Rata Ata, or La Rata Atala, or whatever the hell it is. Can't speak Spanish. Anyways. So, Batman. So she ends up explaining to him what happened, and they have a little heart-to-heart. Which, here's a line that just kind of bugs me. Like, it makes sense, I'll put it this way, but it's like, I don't like the way that line landed.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's like, yeah, let's take down all these corrupt white guys. I'm all like, okay, okay, there's someone who's gonna be like, oh, this is an SJW movie, and no, I don't think so. I don't think that was the point of the scene. I think the point of the scene was that there was some corrupt people that they want to take down, and Batman's like, no, we're not taking them down that way. She's like, come on, vengeance, and she says, let's take down these corrupt white assholes, and I'm like, what do you think about it, Jacob, before I put in my thoughts?
I mean, I do get annoyed when they, bring up, race stuff, oh, this, white dude, or, oh, this black guy. I'm like, okay, this is, we get it, okay? We get it. Unless if it's, a joke, Jamie Foxx and, No Way Home, where it's like, oh, I thought you were gonna be black.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. But something like this, I just feel it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I get the context. She's basically saying, let's take down all these rich, corrupt assholes, and that's fine. But I could have written the line a little better. And I get that's a nitpick, but, just my thoughts on the case. But aside from that, it's a good scene. We get to, again, really, really like the Catwoman-Batman dynamic in this movie. They finally nailed it, guys! Celebrate. All of that. Just do it all. Pull out the confetti.
Finally got it right. Finally.
So Batman and Gordon are kind of walking around. He basically explains to Gordon what happened, and they end up, or they do realize that Falcone was the informant because of this really disturbing sequence, and you don't even see what happens, but you hear it, and you're just like, whew, What do you think of this, Jacob?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, it's even more suspenseful that you don't see what happens because you're thinking on what they're doing, and that just it just makes it even more scary.
Yeah, it has that old Adam, what you can't see is more scarier, and I just remember I was just sitting there really uncomfortable as you could hear Falcone strangling this woman to death.
It's damn.
You're like, damn.
I don't even see what's happening, but I'm still damn.
Still damn. I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed by this. And also, why would you be idiotic enough to record it? But I digress. Or was it her who recorded it? I forget.
Yeah, I forgot.
I think it was the woman who recorded it because I was about to be like, I don't know what kind of idiot would record his own murder, a murder he committed. That's dumb.
A dumbass.
It's dumbass. Yeah. But Batman ends up doing the old thing, just kind of a thing in this movie. He leaks it into the internet. Or something like that. Anyways.
Yeah.
Even though he's pissed off at Falcone for possibly ordering the murder of his parents, he has to stop Catwoman from killing. He has to stop Selena from killing Falcone. Because one, he doesn't want to see her corrupt her soul, and two, he cares about her.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes in and poses as her daughter, and she's all like, I need your help. And he's all like, okay. And they're talking. She ends up pulling out a gun. She's like, oh, you remember this person, Kyle? I forget her freaking name. Or Brenda Kyle, I think it is.
Yeah. Brenda Kyle.
He's like, you remember Brenda Kyle? And he's like, well, yeah, how could I forget? And she's like, well, I'm her daughter. And he's like, yeah. And then she shoots him in the neck or something. And they end up scruffling. They scuffle. And, when you see Falcone, you think, this guy's kind of weird, but he seems alright. Well, once you figure out this scene, and also the scene I talked about earlier where they overheard the murder, you realize this guy is a monster.
Oh, yeah.
He just whacks her with a pool stick and just starts choking her out with it. And you're like, dude, that's your daughter. What the hell? He's all like, I'm all like, Batman comes in to save the day, and oh yeah, by the way, taking a detail right out of the Year One comic, she scratches him right in the face. And I told my dad, I'm like, yo, in the comics, she scratches him in the face and leaves like permanent scars of scratches on his face. What do you know? It's like this film read my mind. What does she do? Scratches him right in the face with her fingernails. That was funny. Or it wasn't funny, but I thought it was funny that my prediction came true. So anyways, Batman comes in and saves the day, and oh man, another great scene. It's basically the Vader scene from Rogue One with Batman.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, they're shooting at him, it's flinging right off his armor, and he just knocks them all down. You're just like, yeah.
Oh yeah. This scene is straight up the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One, the only good scene in the movie. But yeah, anyway, I digress. This scene right here, I love, like, it's just dark, and then, like, the bullets, it's the only light you see, and you see Batman's figure, and he's just, like, beating the shit out of him. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it also reminds me of the line in Year One when he beats the crap out of the guy. He says, "Bullets don't hurt me, but I know pain, and I sometimes like to share that pain with someone like you." From Year One.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I do wish that there was another line from Year One, which is probably my favorite line from the whole book, where he says, "Ladies, gentlemen from Gotham, you've eaten well." I really would have loved to see that be adapted into one of these movies, but oh well. It wasn't. I'm not disappointed in this movie, but I do wish they had that somewhere. And hey, you still got 2 movies. You can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways. So Batman ends up arriving and stops Selina from killing him. She's like, it's not worth it to kill him. And she lets up. She realizes, I'm no murderer. And he ends up leading Falcone out. And of course, he's doing his gangster thing where he's like, oh, you think you're gonna let me out? Oh, yeah, I own this fucking town, bro. And he's like, you think that mask's gonna scare me? And he lets him out. And, you see all the cops who aren't corrupt, I'm guessing. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they end up arresting Falcone, and they take him into a light. And Penguin, of course, is, like, disgusted by this. He's like, oh, you're a rat? Here's a little just WTF moment. He's about to pull out his gun in the middle of all of these people to kill Falcone. Like, I get gangsters can be reckless. But what was the plan?
Yeah, what was the point of that?
I get he's pissed off, but you can't just shoot him in front of all these people. Because, what are you going to do? They're going to arrest you. They're going to, like, tackle you.
Yep.
And you're like in jail. You're just like, but they take him into the light, but they hear another gunshot before the Penguin, for some reason, pulls out his gun to shoot him. Someone else beats him to the punch and ends up shooting Falcone. And, this is actually pretty genius. We end up realizing that's what he meant when he said, bring the rat to the light. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, indeed.
And and Batman looks up and sees someone leaving, and he's like, up there. And they, like, go up, and you end up finding this just straight out of Seven, John Doe's apartment. Like, there is shit everywhere in this house. Like, question marks, something on the floor, just a bunch of crazy shit. You know, Batman, and then they said, we got a witness who said no, that's later. He says, we saw some witnesses seeing some guy walking to a coffee shop. So then we get the scene from the trailer where they all arrest him. And I wish they didn't put this on the internet when they reveal his face. I really wish that. Because it's a little underwhelming once he's actually revealed, at least for me. Because I saw it on the internet before I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, that was a little disappointing. But aside from that, the reveal is really good.
Oh, yeah. I must say, I love how innocent he looks. It just makes him more terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like his role in Prisoners. You know, you've seen Prisoners?
Oh, yeah.
Which is another, like, Seven, then Prisoners. That's like my top 2 favorite detective films of all time. And then, like,
Hell
Chinatown.
yeah.
At least in modern day. Like, those are my favorite, like, modern detective movies.
Hell yeah.
French Connection's pretty good, too. Anyways. Let's see. They end up arresting him, and I love how he raises his hand as if he's, like, raising his hand in class.
Oh, yeah.
And they end up arresting him, like, oh, police, freeze! And they arrest him, and he's like, but I ordered pumpkin pie. They arrest his ass. They don't give a shit about that pumpkin pie.
No. You're going to be eating slop.
He's like, I'm surprised no one just quit back. He's like, oh yeah, we're going to be eating slop at Arkham for the rest of your life. And he's all like, no!
Like Darth Vader and
no!
I will have my pumpkin pie.
I love how the shot ends up showing that in his coffee he's drawn a little question mark on the foam.
Cinematography.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes, the cinematography.
Phenomenal.
Oh, makes my balls hot. Anyways, so they go into... So after they... he arrests him when he sees Batman. He just has this big smile on his face. You know, there's that thing about Paul Dano where he looks innocent, but he has this, like, slappable face. Like, he gets his ass beaten a lot in movies.
Oh, yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Carlton posted, like, a link of Paul Dano getting beaten.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What's black and blue and dead all over? Me.
After I got my ass beat in so many movies. Also saw the video where they're like talking about stuff, and the Court of the Owls got mentioned, and Jeffrey Wright's like, I don't know what that is, and Robert Pattinson and Paul Dano are like, oh, it's so good. I don't know why, but that brightened up my day a little bit. You haven't seen that?
Oh, seen what?
Okay. I was just talking. Jeffrey Wright was like talking about the Court of Owls. He's like, I don't know what that is. And then Paul Dano and Robert Pattinson were like, yo, that's really good. And I don't know why, but that made me happy for some reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry, my dog was bothering.
Oh, that's okay.
You know what? I actually really hope they do the Court of Owls in the next movie. People have been like, you know, theorizing about the Court of Owls. I think that would be a great reveal in like the other movies. Because I think the Court of Owls is one of Batman's most underrated villains.
Oh yeah, I mean they had like a great story, and then it's like, yeah, there you go, and great, you got potential there. A secret society going under Batman's nose. Like, possibilities, Matt Reeves. But anyways, I digress. So the Riddler sees Batman and he just smiles at him. They end up sorry, what?
Then he's taking the Arkham.
Yep.
You think everything's over, but nope.
They end up slapping him in the Arkham, and they kind of wash their hands the whole thing, like, yeah, that's done. But sadly, that's not how police works. So, the Riddler is revealed to be this guy. He's a forensic accountant by the name of Edward Nashton, not Edward Nygma. Which I was kind of like, Edward Nashton, why'd they do that? And then Carlton showed me, he's like, oh, he's called Edward Nashton in the comics. I'm like, oh, he is. Okay. It's just like, yeah, I didn't know that. But, yeah, Nashton is, he has shit everywhere in his apartment, like question marks, writings. He has his fucking bird. He has a bat in there. Like, where did he get a bat from? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But he's got a bat in there. And Batman looks around the place, and they look around, and they end up finding a letter in the bat cage. And Batman ends up opening it. It's this really green card that just says, "See you in hell." Like, that's a nice sentiment.
Yeah.
You sound so earnest when you said that.
You know what I thought? You know what I thought of when they pulled out that card?
What?
Have you seen Dark Knight Returns?
Yes.
The part where Joker basically kills himself and he's like, "See you in hell." I just thought about that.
Yeah.
That card. I don't know why. I was like,
He ends up trekking to Arkham and ends up meeting our boy Edward Nashton, the Lord and Savior, or so he thinks. And Paul Dano's like, "Yo, I've been trying to." He's like, "You came. I've been trying to reach you." And he basically tells Batman that unfortunately it turns out that Batman inadvertently inspired this man to go out and start murdering people, which is not what Batman's about. And earlier we were starting to see the cracks that Bruce is realizing perhaps vengeance isn't the way, or vengeance isn't enough. But here it's kind of slapping him in the face all of a sudden. What do you think of the scene of the Batman and Riddler's confrontation? Before I talk about it.
Oh, one of my favorite scenes ever. Not only does it showcase Paul Dano's acting skills, showing how phenomenal of an actor he is, but I also love, basically Batman has driven the Riddler to do his little things, and that's not what Batman intended to do. And the Riddler's basically saying, like, "Oh, had everything planned, and we thought it all out together." And he's like, "No, we didn't. You're out of your goddamn mind." And then...
Yeah, he lays it thick. He's just like, "You're a deluded psychopath." And then he starts...
You're a nobody.
He starts freaking out, and then probably the most memed part of this film.
Yeah, I was about... Yeah.
What were we gonna say? What were you gonna say, Jacob?
Yeah, this is where people are like, "Oh, he goes over the top." But here's my reason why I don't... it is over the top, but he's a psychopath.
Yeah, he's a crazy person.
Psychopaths do these types of things.
He's eccentric as well, so there's that.
Very eccentric. He's still the Riddler. The Riddler is an eccentric villain of Batman's. So, yes. And again, he's a psychopath. And so, and man, Paul Dano fucking killed it here.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, the Riddler had this last plan, and Batman is just like, "What plan?" And he's like, "Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. I guess I gave you too much credit." And then Batman, of course, like, "What the hell have you done?"
He starts like punching the window.
Yeah, he's like, "What have you done?" God, the acting, both of them are phenomenal. And
yeah.
then Riddler gets this like,
sorry.
His popular line, "What's black and blue and dead all over you?" That line gives me chills.
Oh yeah, that line is great. I mean, there are some parts I'm like, okay, he's kind of teetering on over the top, but I can deal with this. You know, he's an eccentric villain.
Yeah.
And then he drops the mic with what's black and blue and dead all over. I'm like, oh god, yes.
Like hell yeah. And then Batman just starts getting frustrated, just punching the windows, like, "What have you done?" And the Riddler just starts singing, which is where people. One of the most memed moments of this film, him singing. And I'll admit, I did laugh when he just randomly just started singing.
Yeah, I was kind of unsure what to do. I was kind of like, should I laugh at this? Should I be kind of disturbed? I don't know.
I couldn't hold it in. I just laughed. But again, I mean, I get if you think it's like too over the top. But
yeah,
again, he's a psychopath.
He's weird.
They do that. Psychopaths are weirdos, and they do this type of thing.
That's why I like Paul Dano in this role, because he can play the eccentric weirdo goofball guy.
Oh yeah, that's why I think he was like perfect casting when they announced it. I was like, that's perfect.
And no, when I was talking about the memeable moment, it was when he goes, "No, no, this was not how I planned it out. This was not how it was supposed to go." I do love that line. Not because I think it's like funny. It's just like, I don't know. It's a good memeable line. It's kind of like how when Gollum calls Sam stupid fat hobbit, and he walks over and says, "Give it to us raw." It's like, what the fuck? Also, also Andy Serkis played Gollum in that movie.
Oh my God. That's so funny. That reminds me. The part where he sings, like, I found like this hilarious video. I gotta send you it. They re-edited it and made him where he was singing the line "Sleeps Tonight."
Oh my God! Send it to me, man.
Hilarious.
Send it to me later. Oh God, I gotta see this.
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, I gotta see it. It's beautiful. I love this. I want to see that now. And, while it doesn't it gives some hint into Riddler's motivation, but there's some things that are kind of left unanswered, like, how did he know all of this stuff? And I thought about it, I'm like, well, he's a forensic accountant, and he's smart, so I'm sure he probably found it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But it's like, what's his dog in the fight? And then I realized, oh wait, he explained it. It's because he was pissed off that Bruce Wayne, got all the attention while here he is, just alone and taking drugs. He said he was a drophead, which again is like drugs in this world. Which is kind of sad, but he also leaves it a mystery. It's kind of like the Joker in that way. He leaves it a mystery why he did it, which kind of leaves it unsettling. But you kind of get the sense, it's kind of like John Doe, where the city is basically drove him insane to the point of desperation. So really his master stroke is he's basically going to destroy it. He's like, this cesspool of a city, so I'll just blow it up, basically. Or that's how I interpreted it. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, yeah, that's how I interpret it as well.
It's basically
it's him leaving a big question mark because he's the Riddler.
Yep. He's like, why'd you do it? And he's like, riddle me this, random psychologist. And the guy's just like, this guy's annoying. So Batman runs back to Nashton's apartment. He's like, I'm missing something. But then he realizes the tool from earlier that he used to kill that guy. And you're like, oh shit, buddy. Here we go. And he ends up getting out the thing, and he ends up gets the thing, and he pulls out the floor. And what is it he says? It's like, check here or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he, like, pulls out a little flash drive, and he puts it in. I just love this part. Where we end up revealing that the Riddler actually has, like, a following on social media. So you're like, well, that's... I looked at that scene, I'm like, that is sad how accurate that is. That's the first thing I thought of when I'm like, that's sad. That's so sad how accurate that is.
It's relevant.
And then here comes Riddler. He's just on screen. He's like, "Yo, what's up? It's your boy Riddler." And I'm it's so good. I love it. I love it.
Your friendly neighborhood Zodiac killer.
He's like, "Yo, what's up? It's your boy Riddler. We're almost at 500 followers. I just gotta say thank you guys for helping me out. Here's my Patreon."
Like and subscribe if you want to see me kill more people.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I love this. Thank you, Matt Reeves. God bless you, man.
Our Lord and Savior. Thank you, Matt.
It's so good. I love it. He's just like, what's up, guys? Thank you for the support. And you're like, it's both disturbing, but also like really darkly hilarious. You're just like, this is this is wild.
Yeah.
I bet that's what Batman's thinking. He's like, God, the plot thickens, is what I said to my dad. When, now here's the part.
Is secretly a dark comedy.
It's secretly a dark comedy, yeah. I will say this is the part where everyone kind of goes, either they love it or they really don't. I actually really like the third act of this movie.
I do too.
I know Ty didn't really care for it. I did up until the very end. Because I think it works thematically, and it works as a story.
I think it does. And just, it's a superhero movie, so of course you have to have that big action scene in the third act, so, I'm used to it. Where, where the Riddler's plans to flood Gotham. Yeah, and Ty, he wasn't too fond of the third act, I'll say that, but yeah, I get if it doesn't work for people. For me, I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's a great final action sequence. Batman ends up going up, and his plan succeeds. He blows up the car bombs, and a bunch of crazy Riddler folk. By the way, the same homeless people from that orphanage earlier, that's just cool. Also, there's a guy earlier in the movie, I forgot to mention this, who Bruce saw at the funeral. He's like, yeah, the rich guy, if you ask me, got what was coming to him. And that same guy actually shows up later with the Riddler. What? You say, ooh?
Yeah. I was like, ooh.
What was that? You're so bad at these.
Wait, what?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So the Riddler, the mayor who's been elected, her name's Bella Real, I think is how you pronounce it. It's spelled like real, but it's French. So Nashton's followers show up, and they start shooting some stuff. And they flood the city, and they try to shoot Bella Real, but they don't succeed because Gordon, home dog, ends up saving the day. And then Batman comes in, and let me tell you, when he busts in on those guys, ooh, so good. What do you think of this scene, Jacob? The final battle.
Oh, I love it. The fight. Once again, the fighting in this, Matt Reeves fucking nailed it with the fighting in this film.
Oh yeah, the action's incredible.
Once again, I love how Matt Reeves it's just one shot, for the most part.
Oh yeah, he keeps it in camera. You can see the actors are putting in the effort.
Yeah, everything from the camera work and just the editing, it's just phenomenal.
Oh man, it's so good, so good. And I'm still thinking of the Riddler on YouTube. Yo, like and subscribe if you want to see me kill some more people. Yeah, it's like, what? This is so weird. Anyway. So, Batman comes in, beats some guys up. Catwoman, she was thinking about ditching the area, but she has a change of heart, kind of. And helps Batman out. More out of just she's interested in Batman more than anything else. So Batman's beating some ass, and he ends up gets shot again by some other guy, and he gets knocked down, and the dude's about to kill Selina, but he ends up getting some adrenaline, I think is what it is.
Yeah, adrenaline.
Yeah, he takes adrenaline, and he just wallops this dude to the ground. And even Selina's like, yo, dog. It's a little intense.
Brutally beats the crap out of this Riddler goon.
Oh my lord, yeah. He does manage to defeat everyone, and he just beats the crap out of this dude, and you're like, damn. Whew. I guess high on adrenaline, And there are some people I saw later on when I was looking at, like, talk about the movie, and it's like,
Yeah.
Venom? I'm like, guys, no, I think it was just adrenaline.
Yeah, it was definitely the adrenaline. But the violence in this is just...
Oh, man, he beats the crap out of this guy, and then Gordon and his cops show up, and they, unmask the guy. They unmask the guy, and they're like, who are you? And he's all like, and he says, I'm Vengeance. And then that's like the moment where you're like, crap.
That's when Batman realizes, oh, I haven't been... me just being a symbol of fear isn't what Gotham was needing. They need a symbol of justice.
Exactly. You know, and for those who defend Batman v Superman, you know, this is how you do that type of movie, because they're all like, oh, it's a part of his arc. He's trying to redeem himself. Well, there you go. The Batman just took that BVS and blew that shit out of the water. That's how you do that. But I digress.
Yep.
Except he did it earlier in his career, not when he's older. And it's way better. I should say that again.
It is.
Batman ends up falling off the roof area and falls into the water. Surprised he didn't get electrocuted. I guess the armor protects him. Anyways, Batman ends up starting to save people. He realizes, shit. He realizes that maybe being a symbol of vengeance isn't enough to change things in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
But Batman did save the day. He manages to start saving people. He saves Bella Real first, and he starts saving people. And then we get a montage of Batman saving people and rescuing people, and him monologuing at the end of the movie talking about how he needs to become a symbol of hope rather than a symbol of fear. The end. Except it's not.
No.
Okay, here comes my big kind of issue with the movie. Ending drags on a little too long for my taste. I don't have a problem with long movies. Like, it's fine. Like, hey, look, I sat through the Snyder Cut, okay? I can deal with long movies. I think this film is far superior to the Snyder Cut, in my humble opinion. But, yeah, it took a minute for this to end. And if it were me cutting this film, I would have told Matt, dude, you got a perfect ending right there. You can just leave the rest of that stuff out. And look, I get why it's necessary that, Selina and him should, say bye before they leave and yada yada. But I think they should have ended it right there. If it were me, I would have ended it right there. If I were directing or cutting this film, or, doing the editing stuff, I would have been like, look, love the movie, you could just end it right there, and it's perfect.
Yep, where you just leave Batman as now the symbol of justice. That would have been great. But there is one scene that I do felt like was tacked on, which we'll get into soon.
Yeah, it's like he monologues about his then you're like, that's a good ending. And then it keeps going. It's like, dude, look, this is a great film. I love this movie. I still really enjoy this movie. I think it's a great film. I don't have that many issues with it, aside from, like, nitpicky stuff. But, yeah, it should have just ended right there for me. But I digress. Yeah. So, after that, we see Nashton throwing a hissy fit in his cell, and some other guy's, like, talks to him, and he's hidden from the camera. And, he basically gives a riddle and says, he's like, what do you need? What can't you have but succeed if you need more of them? And then Nashton answers it, a friend, and they both start laughing. And it's revealed that this other guy is the Joker.
Yeah, that's the scene where I felt like it just felt tacked on.
Yeah, it should have been I think that should have been like a post-credit scene, if you were asking me.
I agree. I agree. It felt like it should have been like a post-credit scene rather than like being in the actual movie.
Yeah, I like that scene, but yeah, I agree with Jacob.
I mean, for a split second, like I thought it might have been Two-Face because I saw like just from judging from like his silhouette, it looked like half his face was just like rotting and just like damaged. I was like, is this Two-Face? But when he started laughing, I was like, okay, this is Barry Keoghan's Joker.
Yeah, and damn it, I'm kind of fatigued of the Joker myself, even though I love the character. But damn it, I kind of want to see more of this Joker. Arrgh! Arrgh! Damn you! Damn you, Matt Reeves, for making me interested.
I mean, I'll admit I am getting burnt out on another portrayal. I mean, we had Joaquin Phoenix like 3 years ago, but you know what? I mean, after seeing that deleted scene, man, I want more of Barry Keoghan as Joker.
It's like, why?
Why, Matt Reeves? You really like to cock tease us.
But yeah, I would have left that, and then Selina and Bruce / Batman have a little moment, and they talk about how I think they kiss even. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They even kiss, and you're like, yeah, boy. And she's all like, I'm gonna go Bloodhaven. The city sucks. And he's all like, I gotta stay. Sorry. And she's like, it's fine. She ends up leaving. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like the dude from Indiana Jones. I'm like Alfred Molina in Indiana Jones. Young, yes. Where he's like doing the thing, where he's like gets his hands, like, get that shit. That's me. I'm like, come on. In. Yeah. That's me. That's a little too invasive. Anyways. I'm like, come on, in. And they're riding the bikes. I'm like, okay, all right. And then they go separate ways, and then it ends. So, not a fake out. We're good to go. That's the ending of the Batman. Unless you want to add anything else before I say, this is the end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end, we see goodbye with a question mark at the end. And then it ends.
Oh, yeah, that is great. But, man, The Batman. Oh, boy. Really enjoyable movie, aside from the kind of nitpicks. Sometimes Paul Dano's over the top in some ways, and then... aside from little nitpicks, I really love this movie. I think this is the best Batman live-action film in a long time.
Oh, I'm extremely satisfied with The Batman. This is everything I've wanted. This was the psychological detective noir thriller that I've wanted to see. I mean, Pattinson fucking killed it. He is my favorite Batman. Man, like, he is my Batman. Pattinson fucking killed it here. Everybody killed it.
Oh, I agree. Everyone nailed it. This is a remarkably if I didn't mention it already, this is a remarkably well-casted film.
Hell yeah.
It's
Zoe
also
Kravitz.
well shot,
Amazing.
well written, well acted.
Yep.
Oh, this is just a great film. Just another great addition into the Batman catalog of just great Batman movies.
Yep. A deep dive into the Batman mythos that I feel completely justifies its long runtime by committing to a range of complex character arcs within a fresh and compelling story. I'm extremely happy with this film.
Yep. I mean, the only issue I have is that it took... I would have ended it earlier, but hey, it mostly justifies its length. I really enjoyed it. It's like 97% really good, and then there's like that 3% that's kind of prevented from being just perfect. You feel me, Jacob?
Oh, yeah, I feel you.
Anyways.
So honestly, seeing it a second time, yeah, fuck it. It's a 10 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 9.5/7 out of 10. Because it's great movie. Don't know if I can bring myself to give it a 10 yet. If they had just ended it at that part where he's monologuing, it would have been a 10 for me. I'm telling you, they should have ended it right there. I would have been like, yep, that's the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my only big issue that I don't take points off, but it's just like that could have been a post-credit scene was the Joker and Riddler scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. And, I was about to say, they could have just had that as post-credit. I mean, all the DC fanboys get all triggered about being compared to the MCU, but hey, the MCU has a formula that works, okay? Like, come on. Anyways. Yeah. So before I leave real quick, who are some villains you'd love to see in the next Reeve Batman movies?
Oh, I actually got a handful. All right. Of course, the Court of Owls, I would love for that. I would love to see them do Hush done right.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I love Tom Hardy's Bane, my only issue is that they just killed him off in the end. I would love for them to try to do Bane again.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would definitely be down for that.
Bane, definitely. Mr. Freeze, if they do plan on having Mr. Freeze in Pattinson's films, no ice puns, please. No ice to meet you, or what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Nothing like that. Cool.
Let's kick some ice.
Oh,
that classic line.
Scarecrow, another one.
Oh, damn it! That was my top pick. Well, yeah, my top pick. Carlton knows this already because I've blown him up with this, but I've been doing the chant: Scarecrow, 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 Scarecrow. Spread that shit around. Matt Reeves knows what he needs to do. Also, I'd love to see. Oh, what were you gonna say, Jacob?
Hashtag Scarecrow for the next one.
Yeah, spread that around, fans. Yes. Aside from that, I'd also love to see a Court of Owls as well. Hush, I'd love to see a Hush movie done well and not super complicated. Killer Croc maybe could be cool.
I would like to see a Killer Croc, though I don't think he would do Killer Croc.
Though, yeah, he's not really like a mastermind, like, say, the Joker, or Penguin, or Riddler, or anyone like that. Even Scarecrow. My main one's Scarecrow, though. Also, Mr. Freeze, that would be cool. Again, I agree with Jacob on this one. No ice puns. Don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. Anyways.
I would say Deathstroke, but we already have Joe Magliano in the DCU, so...
I would like to see Deathstroke as well. That would be cool, but yeah, I actually would like to see more of him in the DCU, like I said before, but, might not happen because DCU is kind of dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The thing about Batman, he has so many great villains. It's hard to pick one. Ooh, the ventriloquist. That could be fun.
And this is it would be an interesting one. Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter. That could be really interesting.
Yeah, it could be intriguing. I would love to see how Matt Reeves would handle Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I mean, Mad Hatter's kind of seen as this kind of goofy, gimmicky villain, but yeah. I would really be intrigued to see, because he's ripe for like a more darker makeover.
Oh, absolutely.
And he has like brainwashing technology. Like you can do it. You can do it. Hey, you can do it. I think that would make a very riveting second movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, another one. I just thought about this one. Hugo Strange.
Ooh, yes, that would be great. Because originally, before the Joker showed up, it was Hugo Strange who was going to be Batman's arch enemy. But Joker came along, and for some reason, it just kind of fit better. Don't ask him. But Hugo Strange, I think, could be a really interesting one. Even if they did like a one-off, just like a weird, and that's not part of like the big trilogy where it's like Hugo Strange, and get like B.D. Wong back, I think that could be a really good movie.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think Matt Reeves would ever do like Man-Bat or Clayface.
Oh man, that kind of sucks. Cause I actually would like to see Man-Bat in a movie because I actually really like Man-Bat. But yeah, he's probably not gonna have that happen. This is a more grounded world.
Yeah.
Who are some other villains I think would be fun? I mean, yeah, the Joker. I think Barry Keoghan has some promise. I mean, he played a creepy character in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and even though I do not like that film, I thought he was fine in it. He was certainly creepy. And I saw his scene in... And his scene in this movie was very good. So, I got hope in this kid.
Oh, Two-Face. I would love
Two-Face, yes. That, yeah. I'd love to see Two-Face as like a bigger villain than... He was great in The Dark Knight. Don't get me wrong. He was very good in that. But I'd love to see him in a more antagonistic role. I've even heard rumors that Oscar Isaac might be in talks to do Two-Face. Which, man, again, would be excellent casting.
Ooh, yes. Oscar Isaac as Two-Face. I would love to see that. I don't love Batman Forever, but you know what? I'll always have a soft spot for that film. And I always enjoy Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
That's kind of it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. Like, I don't know.
It is. It's a big guilty pleasure because, like, for me, like, the first live action Batman I saw was Michael Keaton, then Val Kilmer. So I'll always have a soft spot for Batman Forever.
Yeah.
So I don't care. It's a guilty pleasure. It's not a great movie, but you know what? I like watching it.
I would also say Ra's al Ghul, but they already did him pretty well in the Nolan movies, so I'm not going to count him.
I would say, like, yeah, they did him well in the Nolan trilogy, so we're good.
Yeah. Let's...
Another villain I think would be phenomenal in Matt Reeves' franchise, Anarchy.
Ooh, that could be fun, because this is a more political Batman movie, and Anarchy is basically Batman. He's basically like V from V for Vendetta, but, like, he wears red clothing instead of black, and he's not, like, super, like, about being an idea.
Yeah.
He basically kind of is like a knockoff of V from V for Vendetta in a way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Anarchy, that'd be a brilliant villain.
Oh, I think that could be a fun one.
I would love to see that. Yeah, I can't think of
anyone either.
I think we already named all the Batman villains.
I mean, there's a lot of Batman. There's a lot of great Batman villains, but man, I'm hungry. I'll put it that way. So I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
So I'm gonna make it quick. What I want for next week. I think it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right. I wanted to talk about another detective movie.
Oh boy.
Though it's not a grim and gritty one. It's more fun, actually. I saw this in 2019 with my dad.
Oh boy. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's Knives Out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, boy. Knives Out from Rian Johnson. I'm like, I couldn't think up of one, and then I saw a video about it the other day. I'm like, bam, got it. Knives Out.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, I wanted an excuse to see it
again.
again.
2019.
I also wanted an excuse to see it again.
Nice. One of my favorite films of 2019.
Anyways, it was a blast talking about the Batman. I think it's a great Batman film, and I do really hope that the second movie, I do hope they tighten up the ending a little bit, but aside from that, this film was a great start to a franchise.
Oh yeah, I was extremely pleased with this film.
I also share that sentiment. I was very, very pleased with this film about 97% of the time. Excellent movie most of the way through.
Indeed.
Anyways, I'm starving.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
And this has been Brit and Jake Eat the Movies.
And we're gonna eat our asses off.
Oh my lord, yes, always.